want to show our girls, they want to show their hair, where you can see all around the world someone showing their hair, and then she will be killed. You cannot find anywhere, only in Iran. So that is why this is a completely peaceful movement. And then when we look at the street, the only thing that they are doing is they are harmlessly taking something of their hand, and they are walking on the street in Iran, in Tehran, in other cities, and then they are chanting for freedom. This is their absolute right, and nobody can hesitate this right for this brave generation. I'm acknowledged this generation is brave generation than our generation. They are strongly brave. And I think one thing that is really important is that in the past 2 weeks, when look at the past 2 weeks, you can figure out what is changing. A fundamental shift has become very obvious, because nobody seeking for reform, nobody seeking for like fundamental reform or اصلاحات ساختاری, and it's something that we can no longer ignore. They don't want Islamic regime. They don't want mullahs. They don't want ayatollahs. And then the world can ignore it. The world can ignore it. Like last week, last 2 weeks, we saw over 150 cities all around the world. Many Iranians and other nationality, they gather with each other, and then they supported Iranian protester on the street. That means the world can't ignore it. This movement is the totally peaceful and different movement from the past. When look at Iran and news, you can figure out the Iranian people inside the country can't ignore it. The old generation come on the street and support the Z generation. At the beginning, only young generation were on the street, but now every people coming and support them, because this generation is brave, and they not brainwashed like our generation in 60s, 70s, and 80s decade. Is totally different. And that fundamental shift has been in the way in which we can imagine and we can visualize women bodies and hair, because they are looking for their body on the mirror and their beauty, because the women are beautiful, people. They like to be, live like rest of the world. They like their life be very easy, simple, like rest of the world. How other ladies dress, like in Canada, in Germany, in Europe, even in Turkey, in many countries. They said, we want to control our bodies and hair in public, not in only in condos and only in our house, in the public, in the street. What we have witnessed, this is unbelievable. Brave generation on the street, and we have a obligation as Iranian, as a human, as a man or woman, we have obligation. If we are not in Iran right now, in Tehran or our cities, but we are out of the country, we have, actually, we should be their voice, and then we have to support them. And then we should actually send this strong message for them. We help you, and then we supporting you. It is very important. Everyone, every Iranian, all around the world, if they have a tribunes, they should be able at least be their voice out of out of the country. So thank you for listening me, Mr. Roozbeh. If you have my voice, floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Majid. Just gonna welcome everyone in here. Tonight we've decided to have this room in English, and the reason is we try to somehow invite our voices to non-Iranian friends of us. I'm just gonna welcome everyone who's in the speaker. I'm gonna welcome Puria and the others who I can see on stage. So please feel free to raise your hand and join the debate. We've decided to kind of show our sympathy and support for the Iranian protesters. They've been different terms as movements or rebellion or uprising. Some call it a revolution. I believe the terms are not important. What is happening now in the streets of Tehran and other cities? Uh, it just kind of gathered all of us together, and we need to be the voices of the people who are protesting in Iran. Um, as Majid truly mentioned, this is not a uh, like this rebellion is different, and the difference comes from too many root causes. Similar movements that we had back in the days was like Green Movement, or the one that happened after Kui Daneshgah, and the one for like raising the gas price in Iran. We know that all these demonstrations have been cracked down by police and security forces. We know that Sharif University was attacked a couple of days ago. They beaten up the students. They detained them in the vans and, well, took too many of the students, the elites, uh, to the custody. But, like the whole concept of having this room tonight is to show our solidarity, to show our support for the Iranians who are protesting, who do not accept this regime as their leaders. Uh, the simple quote for this demonstration started from that tragedy that Mahsa Amini was killed by morality police, and then after the revolution started in the West, in Kurdistan area, and then well, now the fire is all over the place. We know that a couple of young girls have been killed tragically, including Hadis Najafi and Nika Shakarmi and a bunch of more. So as Majid said, Iranians, like Iranian diaspora, like the Iranians who are outside the country, uh, we held different demonstrations, mostly led by the Justice campaign run by Dr. Ahmed Ismailou. We know that he was present in Canadian Parliament today, and he gave a speech to the PMs. He addressed the Iranian protest causes and approaches, and he asked for justice. Uh, so this campaign should be supported. This is a social campaign, not a political one. As Majid said, we're not supporting any violence, but we also respect the legitimate right of defense or the rightful defense against the security forces who have committed crimes these days during the last 3 weeks in Iran. So I'm not going to talk a lot tonight. I'm just going to leave the mic to the other speakers from all around the world. I know Puria is from Australia or New Zealand. I'm not too sure, but we've gathered tonight uh, to show that we are a united nation. We need to come together as one. If we need to beat the dictatorship, if we need to show our support, we need to cast a light to what is happening in Iran. We know that the internet is being shut down a couple of times. And I do believe that supporting these protesters for the sake of the freedom, for the sake of liberation, is important. I would say this is a new uh, this is a new order of things, if you ask me, and I do believe that that supporting this rebellion, supporting this movement, is vital. It's been vast demonstrations all around the world. We know that, like last week, in most than 100 major cities all around the world, we had this demonstration. In Toronto, more than 70,000 Iranians gathered together with the same flag, with the same coat. Uh, they cheered Zan Zendegi Azadi, which is woman life liberation, and that's who we are. We need to put aside our differences. We need to be united. We need to come together as one, and we need the world to hear our voice. I'm not going to talk a lot tonight, as I said. I'm just going to leave the mic to Puria, and then I would kindly ask you to share this room if you think it's useful. I would kindly ask you to invite your non-Iranian friends who can join us in this room tonight, and I hope it's going to be a very good debate or discussion. And what comes out of it's not important. I've seen in the comments that some people are somehow making jokes out of someone accent. It doesn't matter if you have an accent. You need to be proud. It shows that you can speak another language rather than English. Uh, Thank you again, and please share the room so it can be seen in the hallway. I'm just going to leave the mic to Puria, and then if someone raises a hand, or you can always send me a text in my back channel, so I will bring you up. This is time for speak up. This is time for share your ideas with us. I'm just going to wrap it up now. Puria, the mic is yours.
Thank you, thank you. Just Roozbeh, watch for the chat room. There are some monkey and some idiot. Please remove it. Remove them from room. Thank you. Clean the chat room. Puria.
Good day, everyone.
Puri, excuse me,
Kuria,
I
I'm
had to cut
joining
you off
you.
just for a second. Sorry. I would kindly ask you. I mean, the chat room. I'm not going to close the chat rooms, but please be mindful of what you're writing in there. As I said, having an accent, having a broken English, having a weak English is not a weak point. It shows that we are able to speak another language. I speak three more languages, including French. But the point is, no one's perfect. And we are here to show our support and solidarity with the protesters. So please be mindful, avoid writing text like that in a sort of harassment or bullying or whatever. We're not here to make jokes. We're not here to make fun. We are here to learn something from each other. And we would gladly invite non-Iranian speakers to the stage to share their ideas with us. Sorry, Pooya, the mic is yours.
Good day, everyone. My name is Puriya. I'm joining you guys from Melbourne, Australia. And regarding the first point Roozbeh just mentioned, people may speak a language with an accent, but none of us would think in an accent. So we need to put our differences aside and learn to unite in these difficult times and come together for a common cause. If someone has an accent in the audience and wants to join us, please feel free to join. Once again, I say you might speak with an accent, but I'm absolutely sure none of us think in an accent. So our minds are clear, although our accents may be not. That includes me as well. So if I'm going to ramble on some of the words, you all have to excuse me in advance. Over the past 3 weeks, we have seen horrific scenes unfolding in Iran. To many of us, this was a long time coming. When about 6 months ago, there was a conflict between two civilians, and the ruling party of Iranian government took side with the one who was trying to impose hijab in a bus to another girl. And few weeks after, the chief staff of the police decided to shut down an entire shopping mall because of a single incident where, again, two civilians disagreed on how a hijab should be worn in public. The ruling regime of Iran has had every opportunity to correct the wrongdoings. They have had ample time. Again and again, people have voiced their concern and their wishes for having freedom of choice, for basic freedoms on what to wear, and not being fearful for their lives because of how they might cover their hair or not. This may sound ridiculous to many of my non-Iranian friends, but this is the reality Iranian people are dealing with at the current stage. The death toll reported by officials is rising daily. That is a sad scene to watch. And I've been told that the number of deaths in the recent uprisings are well over 150 now. Every single one of those casualties are future of Iran, and many of those students in Sharif University who suffered a huge blow, a huge attack a couple of nights ago by the hardliners. Many of them have contributed globally to the advancement of basically human lives. One of them was Maryam Mirzakhani, the well-known scientist who received Roozbeh, you can help me. What was the award Maryam Mirzakhani received?
It's called Phelps. It's called Phelps Award, but because we do
Phelps
not have
Award.
any Nobels for the math, so this is
Yep,
kind of equal to the Nobel in mathematics.
yep. So those are the people under attack. right now, right this day, right this very moment, probably. The people who have died includes mostly young people and mostly young girls. Young girls such as the one whose name has been repeated most, Mahsa Amini, a beautiful young 22-year-old Kurdish girl who was visiting Tehran, and now the entire country is standing up to recognize her right to wear her hijab, or wear it not for that matter. Following that, in the uprising, we have Hadith Najafi, who's been brutally murdered. Nikasha Karami has been brutally murdered, and the reason of death is multiple blows to her skull. And in a shameful propaganda, Iranian government is trying to cover up her death, running all sort of misinformation narratives on the public-owned media. And the sad thing is that the names and numbers don't even end there. Yesterday, Sarina was killed, a young student graduate who just finished her high school, probably 18 years old, was also killed for the same reason, multiple blows to her skull. And this is not acceptable. This is not going to stand, and the Iranians, who many of them have been forced to exile, many of them, including myself, came to conclusion that they don't see a future in Iran. They had to leave family and friends, rebuild and redefine themselves as expats abroad, are showing solidarity. The role we can play is in a deafening silence by the mainstream media, where their coverage of the events is in no shape or form proportionate to the magnitude of the events. We can make them react. We can talk to our representative in our respective countries and make them react. Not because we don't care about our country and we want other countries to meddle in internal affairs of Iran. I'm personally against that, but not at the cost of my fellow Iranians. When a murderer kills people on the street and then tries to cover up, and now these days is trying to shut down internet and shut down lines of communication, basically turning the lights off. And when the supreme leader shows up after 17 days without any shred of recognition in his speech about the right to protest, a right that is included in Iranian constitution, in the existing constitution that many of Iranians believe, including myself, that is at the very least incomplete, if not unjust. He doesn't recognize the right of people to protest peacefully. Instead, he backs up the militia and the morality police who are bashing people on the street. The international community's recognition of the events, showing and demanding Iranian government to show restraint and abide by global values of human rights, can save lives on the street. I am sick of adding hashtag behind Iranian kids. and sharing stories on Instagram. That's just not cutting the cake anymore. We need to do more, and this needs to go beyond the 8 million population of expat Iranians. So I call upon my friends who live abroad and citizens or residents. You have a right, and now you have a duty to use whatever means necessary to save lives. Even if it saves one life, that's well worth it. Iranian government needs to know that international community is watching closely, is demanding restraint, is demanding justice. They won't be governing in a void. Iranian people, and especially young people in Iran, in the cities of Iran, are doing the bigger part, are doing they're risking their lives, driving this change, driving this uprising. And in comparison, what we do outside of Iran is just a drop in the ocean. The other point I like to make before I hand the mic back is when I go to these protests in Melbourne, for example, I really enjoy that seeing Iranians coming together, but at the same time, I can see how special groups with their own agenda, with their own interests, are trying to ride the wave, and basically many of them are politically bankrupt movements and ideas who could not imagine a response from expat Iranians. They haven't held an event over decades which would make a fraction of the numbers who showed up on the streets of 151 cities across the world. And that was only by the invitation of one man who suffered a great deal of pain from Islamic Republic. So, in a sense, when you go to a ceremony of to celebrate the lives of the many Mahsas in Iran, it is only polite if you set your political agenda aside. It is only fair if you don't drive your own ideology over and above the solidarity with the families of the people who are losing their younger ones in Iran. You will get a chance if we stick together. Any of those ideas, however extreme, however outdated they might be, in a fair, free future in Iran, I'm hoping that everybody, every ideology will get its fair chance. But now is not the time. Now is the time for solidarity. Now is the time for unity. Do not let the hidden agenda of Islamic Republic's members and advocates drive a wedge between this bond that has brought us together.
What is the hidden agenda, you think?
I think the people
Good.
from
Did you
intelligence forces,
did you
they
see
they
the
are in,
did you
yeah.
see the Iranian room today? They
Yeah,
asking
they were
for
talking about referendum.
Yeah,
Puri,
they were
I
talking
tried
about
to.
the referendum,
Yeah,
and
sorry to
This is
cut you
a
off,
uh,
Puri.
new ploy by the regime,
That is
referendum
correct.
now.
That is correct.
absolutely they
I
want
know.
to
So
change
Puri,
everything. Sure.
yeah. So Majid, if you don't mind, Puri, I
No,
just
no,
want
no.
you to.
Okay, no, no.
And
Oh,
I'm just saying, Puriya, if you can just wrap it up, I'm just going to give the mic to Roxanne. I know she's somehow busy. She's an important person. So I was wondering if you can just wrap it up. So I'm going to kind of rotate the mic between the speakers. And then we'll come back to you for the second round, if you don't mind.
Roger that. So, if I may, I just want to leave you guys with this notion that this is the time for solidarity. This is not the time to basically market your own version of the ideology. It is very much likely that it will work in the Islamic Republic's benefit if we try to sell some ideas of Iranians' future regimes, what it needs to be and what they might do. The Iranian kids on the street are telling us what to do. They will be the decision makers. Don't just jump on the driver's seat, which doesn't belong to you. That's my message to some of the political interests abroad. And this is the time for solidarity. This is the time for recognition of the right of Iranian people to protest in a safe manner and not to be fearful for their lives. Thank you.
Thanks, Puriya John. I'm just going to remind you guys again that the reason that this room is being held in English is that we've decided to show our solidarity, our sympathy with the Iranian protesters all around the world. And the Iranian diaspora, which we can call the Iranians who moved or they were forced to move or immigrate from their homeland, we're still all Iranians. The Iranian blood went through our veins. So this is the reason we are holding this room in English. So please stop writing comments in the chat room saying why this room is not in Persian. I know that everyone in this stage for now are Iranians, but the reason we are holding this room in English, first of all, for our non-Iranian friends who supported us during these hard times. And second, this is for the second generation of Iranians who were born outside Iran. We need to generate some sort of unity, as Puriya mentioned, amongst all Iranians, anyone whose heart beats for Iran. So please stop harassing or bullying or things like that. I'm not I'm not really about to remove anyone from the room, but if I see any insult, any offensive comments, uh, I have to tell you that I'll show zero tolerance for that. Please, this is not a joke. We're not here to make fun of each other accents or whatever. We are here to cast a light to the darkness that the Islamic regime imposed to each and every one of us. I'm going to welcome Miss Roxanne Ganji. Welcome to stage. I see my dear friends in audiences. I will invite you one by one. Please raise your hands if you have anything to say. I see Ehsan Bateni. I see Dr. Semko Momeni. I see Ali Golizad, Messi. Too many friends of mine. So please be mindful of what you're writing in the chat room. I'm not going to tell that again. And I don't care if this room is with less than 100 audiences or less. Please respect each other, respect our culture, show everyone that we are here to show our solidarity with the Iranian protesters. Thank you, Roxanne. Thanks for coming over. The mic is yours.
Hi there. Thanks for having me, Roozbeh John. I have to agree with Poria. This is not a revolution that has any ideology attached to it. Nobody on the streets of Iran is asking the person next to them what ideology, or what religion, what background, what ethnicity they have. So this is a beginning of a revolution of demands, basic demands for human rights, the most basic rights to live, freedom, happiness. And if we want to attach any kind of ideology and ride this wave, we're going to destroy this beautiful revolution that's just started. And I know that the kids know exactly what they want today in Iran. They want freedom. They're willing to give up their lives. I admire them. They're truly our heroes. We've lost many today, which is truly heart-wrenching. I'm just coming back from a protest in front of CNN here in Los Angeles. The police here in Los Angeles was so courteous. They closed the street off to the cars. They let us have this beautiful protest. And I was thinking, imagine the police in Iran are brutally killing our children. And this is how it's supposed to be. Police is supposed to be on the side of the people, which is a shame. We've got a long way to go in the future. Training, our officials to be on the side of the people who voted for them, who pay their salaries, and not on the side of a tyrant regime that just, I can't believe what they're doing to our children in Iran today. So I beg, beg, beg everybody, leave ideology out of it. Don't try to ride this wave, and let them be the victorious. The future of Iran belongs to these young kids, and I'm sure they will make it. They will build a beautiful Iran, intelligent, bright kids who know what they want. They will get Iran on the right track. I'm very sure. It's good to be with you, and again, I appreciate you letting me be in the room.
Okay, thank you, Roxanne. May I ask a question from you,
Oh,
Roxanne?
sorry, Majid Khan, I didn't see you. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. Hi.
Sorry.
So I have a question. So, what is your opinion about what is the differences between this uprising from the past? If you explain for
Well,
us, I really appreciate
I
it.
I don't recall when I was in Iran in 1979 having 20 consecutive days of such kind of rioting throughout Iran. I don't recall that. And I don't recall the police in any way being as brutal as they were. There's no comparison really. And we know now that Meidun Jaleh was created at the hands of the regime. Cinema Rex was the plot of the Islamic Republic to make people angry and get them on the streets. So I do see many differences. It's not the same. People today are truly, truly angry and unhappy. And those are the differences I see. The consecutive movement for the past 20 days is really the biggest thing that stands out to me.
Thank you. Another question is that, as may you know, this movement is leaderless. And then, what is your opinion about that?
I think like Fuya said, the leaders will come out in the future of Iran. People don't want one person to come and lead them today. I think in the future we will have time to campaign, and with free press, and we can have an internationally monitored election and we can decide what form of government, what kind of leadership we want. I think today we have to stand together as Iranians and fight this regime. We're all leaders. We're all leaders of this movement. We
Yeah,
don't need one leader to
that's a
rule
good
us.
point. Roxanne, I got a question for you, just coming back to the topic. So, what do you think will be the consequences for the Islamic regime after these movements are a little bit calmed down? We know that people are still in the streets, but so what is your kind of? I know you don't have a crystal ball. You're not a fortune teller, neither a palm reader. But what what do you think about the consequences of this movement for the regime? Will they change? Will they accept? What's
Every
going to happen?
day that they are beating our kids and killing our kids, they're getting closer to the end, Roozbeh. Every day that they shed blood, they're going to be closer to the end of themselves. Hi.
All right, thank you. Thanks, Miss Ganji. It's been a pleasure for us to have you in the stage tonight. I'm just gonna pass the mic to Rex, and then after Nima, everyone who's in the audiences, please feel free to join the stage. As I said, probably for 10 times tonight, the reason we are holding this room in English is that, first of all, as Iranian diaspora, we wanted to show our sympathy with the protesters. And second of all, we hope that our non-Iranian friends join us tonight. So that's why we held this room in this hour, which is like 8 p.m. in the West time, like North America. And And we also want the Iranian second generation to hear us. I know that there are too many Iranians in the stage which their children were born outside Iran, but or our links are never cut off. Thank you again. Thanks, Roxanne. Thanks for your activism. I know that you're an activist. Your dear father is as well. And as I said, we need to come together as one. Tonight is not a night for making joke of someone's accent or someone's poor English or whatever. At least the people who are on the stage, the people who are running this room, were courageous to come up and speak up. So please do not make joke of anyone in the
John,
stage. Yeah, go ahead.
sorry, can I say something? You keep in
Absolutely.
mind there is a lot of young Iranians who were born outside of Iran who don't understand Farsi that well. So this is the way that we can encourage them to get involved. And that's why I think it's very important to have these rooms so those young children can come here and express their opinion, give us opinion and tell us what they want and find out how they can help the struggle. This is why we need to speak English.
That is correct too. And the other point is, Roxanne John, uh, like the tickets are not sold out in here, okay? You are welcome to come to the stage and speak up. If you feel that this room is not useful for you, please feel free to leave anytime. I'm not going to tell this again. Feel free to leave anytime. We're not here to make jokes. A tragedy is happening for our brave, courageous youth in Iran. And to be honest with you, I'll show zero tolerance about that. This is not a Persian speaking room that everybody can come to the stage and share his idea. I respect that. I know that maybe 99.99% in this room are Iranians. They speak Persian. I get that, okay? So please do not repeat this in your comments in the chat room, or I will have to close the chat room. And this is not a place to make fun of this tragedy which is happening in Iran right now. People are getting killed, so try to be mindful. Try to keep yourself a little bit accountable as an Iranian of what is happening in the streets of Iran. The bloodshed is all over the place, and there are some people who are making fun or jokes of someone's accent in here. Um, I'm really disappointed, okay? So please stop it. And I'm not going to talk about this anymore. Rex, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Roozbeh, and thank you very much, Mr. Majid. Majid is one of my best friends. I think that's a very, very good idea that we have just some type of these English rooms even once a week, Majid, because we both live in Vancouver and I have a lot of Canadian, also US friends, and I invited more than 20 people. I don't know, some of them may join us or not, because Roozbeh, I'm in my job. I cannot talk completely. I just want to touch a little bit of this topic, and after that, I will continue my talk in the next 2 hours. Yes, Iran's post-uprising consequences for the Islamic Republic. As my friend Roxanne told, this regime, this brutal regime, is approaching to the end. Even I don't think so they will last in next 1 year, even 6 months. You know why? Because the importance and the um, force of social media. You can imagine in 1388, in 1388, I mean, in the our calendar, it was not like this. I was in that protest, and I just got a little bit beaten with Batum and something like that. But now is different story, and they know that they cannot oppose, and they cannot kind of stop people's movement. I'm very, very appointed. I'm very, very good, and I'm very, very kind of hopeful for the future of this protest, and I will do all of my best to support them. Thank you so much, Roozbeh.
Thanks to you for keeping it that short. Well, in our room, there's no time or there is no.
Roozbeh,
There's,
please
yeah.
invite the Reza Parvizi, please. So because I think I invited my invite, it didn't go through.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, like anyone who's in this room, including our dear friends, the moderators of the other rooms are always welcome in here. As I said, I'm not sure how many times do I have to tell you this. We know that most of the people in here are Iranians, but I believe Roxanne and I and Rex, we kind of justified our cause, okay? So please put an end to this like useless humor and harassment, like verbal harassment. Stop it, please. I mean, as I said, uh, people are just getting
Just
killed back
ignore
home,
them,
okay?
Roozbeh. Don't even
Yeah,
look.
well,
Don't
it
even
Yeah,
bothers
look.
me.
ignore it.
Yeah, sure, okay.
Most
All
of
right,
them because insulting me is okay.
it's all right.
I
It's all right.
added to the
Okay.
some.
All right.
Yeah.
So with respect to Nima, Mahyar, and Siamak, we welcome all of you guys here in the stage. I know that Shayan may be kind of busy a little bit. If you don't mind, I'm just going to pass the stage to Shayan, and then after Shayan, it's going to be Nima, Mahyar, and Siamak, the speakers. Shayan, Arya, thanks for being with
Uh,
us tonight. Yeah,
Hi,
go
Roozbeh.
ahead.
Hi, everyone. No, please let them talk, and then
All
I'll.
right.
Thank
Okay,
you.
I thought, okay, I'm just going to welcome Reza Parvizi. He's one of the, well, I would say the celebrities here in Clubhouse. And let me tell you something, friends. Uh, the reason we are holding this room tonight, I know that this is a time for rest for everyone who's in North America, including me, Majid, and Roxanne for sure, and Shayan. I'm not sure about the others. But uh, we've just come back from work. And after I talked to Majid this afternoon, I we decided together to run this room in English, and we had our causes, we had our purposes, and as I said, the reason is we need to show our solidarity because we like there are Iranians all over the world, and we know that English is the kind of most common language being used all around the globe. So the reason we are holding this room in English is uh, to kind of have a make a lines of communication between the diaspora Iranians, including myself, Roxanne, Majid, and too many guys here in the stage, with the people inside Iran. The Islamic Republic, the Islamic regime tried to disconnect this relation. They tried to somehow blind all the lines of communication. We're just going to reopen this channel, and that's the reason we are all here and we were talking about the thing. And from now on, I believe that the title has been somehow described, but so I'm wondering if the other speakers can talk about particularly or specifically talk about the title, which is Iran's post-uprising consequences for the Islamic Republic. For the people who do not know, it's like عواقب این شورش برای جمهوری اسلامی چه میتونه باشه. We're wondering what will be the next step taken by the regime, by the leaders, by the president, uh, by the whole system, by the whole dictatorship system of Islamic regime, and where do we go with these movements, with these rebellions, and what will be the outcomes of this movement? We know that like the policy is something, it's like a multi-factor issue, but the point is we invite you to here to speak up about your ideas and share those with us. Thank you. Nimajan, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Roozbeh. Thank you guys for having me. This is a very good topic, and I think it's very productive to have these discussions in English because a lot of the Iranians in diaspora might not fully grasp or understand the rooms in Persian. And to Roxanne's point, I'm going to start by saying this. A lot of Iranian Americans who were born in the United States who have never visited Iran and don't have any recollection of what life in Iran is are tuned in right now. You see them in mass. You see them supporting this movement any way they can on social media. You see them in rallies, and this is a beautiful thing. This is the first time, I think, in a very, very long time, we see the Iranian nation ignited. We see the Iranian nation united around a singular event. And I don't think we've seen this in recent history. We see 150 cities around the world, 70,000 people in Toronto, 30,000 people in Los Angeles, where I live, and where Miss Roxanne lives, of course. We're seeing something we haven't seen before, and that is the Iranians united. Now, what's going to happen next with this historic unity? That's the big question, I think, that a lot of the experts should be talking about. But in terms of answering your title, in my opinion, one thing good that's coming out of this is the Western leaders who have been very, very cozy with the Islamic Republic. Let's face it, from France to Great Britain to Germany to Scandinavian countries, even to the Democrats in the United States, they have been very, very cozy, to Canada, of course, with the Islamic Republic. They have accepted their children, they have put their money in their banks, they have given them all kinds of benefits through deals and other things, and have, in a way, effectively assured their survival. And this is a system that is going to be reconsidered. I think in the future, through the pressure the Iranian diaspora has put on these politicians, they're going to reconsider every action from now on. It's not going to be this cozy, brush it under the rug kind of system that's been going on for 43 years. I think that's the most important thing, important factor we're getting out of this. One of the people on stage was talking about other political factions trying to ride the tide and trying to like claim this this movement. And there's truth to that. Yeah, of course, every political faction is going to try to maximize their position within the Iranian political spectrum. But I think the faction we have to be most cautious about, and we have to be really careful about, are the reformers inside Iran. And some of them are on this stage as well. These people are very, very opportunistic. They're very manipulative, and they try to ride the tide. They try to take this wave of anger and kind of sway it their way and get political benefits out of it within the system. We have to be very cautious and very smart about this matter. The reformers have not really done any of their promised agendas to the Iranian people. If you look at the past 25 years, when we've had a couple reformer presidents, we had a lot of reformer politicians, it's all been empty gestures, empty promises, and nothing substantial has really come out of this. And we have to be aware of this and not be played and not be fooled by another reformer ploy to steal this movement, to ride this momentum. And I think that's the most important thing for Iranians to consider and to be cognizant about. The reformers have really, in effect, been an insurance policy for the current system, for the status quo. And we should never, ever forget that. Another thing at the end I wanted to also mention is Iran is like, somebody once explained this, that Iran is like a beautiful Persian rug, a carpet. When you look at it, it has different designs, different colors, and that's what we are as a nation. Our identity is that. Our identity is not a homogeneous nation where everywhere is exactly the same. We have a common denominator, which is Iran, but we also have all these intrinsic differences. And this is what makes us a unique nation. This is what makes us beautiful. This is what makes us a historic nation that we're so proud about. So we have these different ethnicities. We have these different religions. We have these different political ideologies within us. And everybody is equally Iranian. And I think this is a realization that the younger generation is having, that if we're going to survive, if we're going to win, we are all one. We are all in this together. We can't fight as fragmented factions. We're never going to win. We have to be united as a nation. And that's exactly how the United States, the first 13 colonies, when they decided they don't want to be under British rule anymore, that's exactly what happened. The founding fathers, they united these fragmented colonies that really didn't know much about each other. And they weren't even like a nation. They were just fragmented colonies. But once they united, once they realized they have a common purpose and a common goal, they were able to defeat the mightiest empire in history at that time, which was the British Empire. And anything is possible when a nation, especially a historical nation like Iran, unites. And I think that time is now. That has happened. And we are united as one nation. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Nimojan. That was a really, really good speech. I'm going to welcome everyone here in this stage. Anyone who was brave enough to come to stage and speak up about the Iranian
Roozbeh,
yeah.
I see the Dr. Tahmasebi, Victoria Tahmasebi. I would more than happy invite her on the stage.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I personally sent a text to Dr. Victoria Tamasabi. She's more than welcome to join the stage for sure. And let me thank you all again for showing your solidarity, for your sympathy with the Iran's movement. I'm not sure what will be the proper term. Is it a movement? Is it a rebellion, uprising, or protesting, or whatever it is? The names are not important. The whole concept of these demonstrations are important. Thank you so much, Nimajan. That was really like nice speech, and thanks for manning the time. Um, I know that Dr. Semko Momeni is kind of, well, the time zone is a little bit tricky. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to ask like a direct question from Semko. Semko, I know that you've been during the crackdown of Queer Danishka, and now you're living in the US. So what do you think is the importance of activism or being active outside Iran? Although many of us do not live in Iran anymore. So what is the cause? What is the approach of that of activism outside of Iran? If you can just make it a little bit short, and then I'll come back to you for the next question. For the next uh, uh, speech. The stage is yours, Semko. Thank you.
Thank you, Roozbeh, and thank you for having this room and me on this stage. Yeah. So first of all, I'd like to talk about my experience in the campus of the University of Tehran. We call it Kuyi Danishgah. Back to 1388. So after the election, and so we protested and we said, "Where is my vote?" I think that you remember, that situation. So, and Basiji and Guard Force, attacked the campus, Kuyi Danishgah, and they arrested, a lot of students, and saw and experienced, that atmosphere. And I know how brutal can be, such a situation. And one of the students, just got shot, close to me, during those, that protesting. But if I I wanted to answer your question is that during that time, so we really like to have our voice in the world, especially people in the world. So and really wanted to have a voice. So that's why I think that the right now we are out of Iran, and so it's very important for us to support protester in Iran and be the voice of the protester, in Iran. And so because I was in that atmosphere, and I know how important it is, and how we can so just send our message and our energy to Iranian protester. So that's why as a Iranian, so I am living for a couple of years out of Iran. Just I want to be the voice of protester inside. So we know that the Guard and Basiji forces just attacked the University of Sharif, and Sharif University, and so I want to be voice of those students. I want to talk with people, not show a government, because if you want to people, other countries, there are. So I think if people be aware of what's happening in Iran, so they can force their government to do something for Iranian people. But in general, the important thing is that we talk. We need to have such a room. So especially in English language. So I don't care, just about my accent or something else. Just I want to have a voice. I want to be a voice for Iranian people. So, and I hope I can do, my best. Thank you, Roozbeh.
Thanks to you, Semko. Again, thanks everyone for joining this room. We're running this room for almost an hour, and we've kind of shared our points of view regarding this movement inside Iran. And as an Iranian, that would be our solemn duty to cast light into this darkness, as I already said. I'm going to thank again Miss Roxanne Ganji, Mr. Majid Parvizi, Majid Rasoli, and sorry, because Reza is back. So Reza, if you got a chance to speak up, now it's the time.
Hey, Roozbeh, I want to say hi to you, Majid, and the rest of the speakers and listeners in this room. I think it's a very risky and a big decision for Majid to hold this session in English for the first time in Iranian political clubhouse rooms. And I'm happy. I know it's a bit challenging, especially because we'd like to communicate in Farsi. But it is a good idea. Maybe in future we can invite some more English speakers from other non-Persian, non-Far or non-Iranian, clubhouse
Communities.
mates.
Yeah,
Yeah.
communities. Yeah.
About the topic, I'm just going to mention something about the point that Mr. Majid Rasuli mentioned about a referendum. I think it's a very good solution at this stage because we know the government is not listening to even their side. I mean, we remember clearly when the previous president, Mr. Hassan Rouhani, insisted in a referendum so many times, but he just kept he just kept hearing that no, a big no. But now, at this time, because the whole government is in one side, there is a little chance to even think about the referendum. Just imagine, if the compulsory hijab is go away, then the room will be open for the other things like independent election. Then people can fight for freedom. They can fight for basic human rights. But at the moment, the whole structure is very solid. So for me, if I'm going to think realistically, I can't see any sign of revolution at this stage. We know all about the revolution. Revolution needs a leader to organize, to weaponize, and to support with the strategy. But at this stage, all the young generation, yes, they've got the motivation, yes, they're fighting for rights, but unfortunately there is no clear point of view for future. So that's why at this stage I think a referendum is a very good solution. And I don't see Uh,
Sorry, Reza, sorry. So,
yeah.
sorry I interrupted you. Why you want a referendum? And then what do you want to change? And how do you want to do referendum? Can you
Yeah.
answer?
Yeah.
So,
Just imagine. So
referendum
we
based on
can't
what? Based on what?
see. We
What do
can't.
you want to change? You want to change
Okay.
the
Right.
It's
whole
unimaginable, Reza.
constitution, Islamic constitution, or what?
No. No. At first
Referendum for
Referendum
what?
like
place.
what? Yes, no to the Islamic Republic? Is that what you're talking about?
No. At first place, no government put a referendum, to change the whole regime. If you give me an example, then
No,
we can
Reza,
say
no,
yes.
no, you're right. You're right. But in some extent, the referendum is not a scary thing. Maybe here in Canada we may have, I don't know, tens of referendum. It's not a referendum. Of course, no government is going to kind of jeopardize its existence into risk. I get that. But for some items like I would say compulsory hijab or I don't know, no matter what. But the referendum, or I would say kind of public election or public decision, is not really a scary thing as Islamic Republic always
I think
refused to do
Roozbeh,
so.
the referendum is the big hoax. So I don't understand why the reformists they're dealing back of the stage with the regime, and they brought us a referendum. This morning we saw the referendum is the solution. It doesn't make sense because people on the street they are chanting for freedom. And then there is there is a very simple question. You want to put the referendum what? Constitution or regime change or only hijab? Reza, can you answer me?
Yeah. See that, as I said, yes, I know. The young generation, they want a, beyond the compulsory hijab. It's clearly visible from all the videos and social media contents. But I'm talking about a realistic situation. The first stage that we can all put our energy and pressure and put pressure on government is for compulsory hijab referendum. This is just the first step. Then the next steps will be yes for
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
election.
What is that going to solve? The people of Iran are saying they want this entire regime to be out. It's
All
not
right,
about hijab anymore. It's about,
right.
you think by killing our children, not even young adults, children, 11, 12-year-old, you think they're going to help themselves or they're shooting themselves in the foot?
No, no. Hey, Roxanne, you can't talk
This
like
is
this. I'm not
exactly
a
the
fan
plot
of.
I was talking
I'm
about,
not.
by the way.
I'm. Yeah, I'm not a fan of regime, or I'm not a supporter of regime. I'm just
No,
thinking a
but you're
realist.
by these kind of things, you think they were going to prolong the life of the regime, like the reform movement did for all these years. Nobody's going to put up with that
Absolutely.
anymore.
No, it's not even about reform or something like that. I'm just saying.
So why are we
Let's
buying
talk about
time, Reza Jun?
revolution.
Why are we buying time for this regime? This
I'm not
regime
buying a
has
time.
done
I'm just
nothing. Yeah, by doing
Roxanne.
what you're saying, we want to buy
No,
time for them.
no, Roxanne. Listen, you and we can go inside Iran and we can talk about revolution and we can go to the streets and put our life in danger. Yes, but from out of the borders, I can't support revolution. I can't put
We're not
people
doing
in
it. We're
danger.
not doing it. They're doing it themselves. They're on
Yes,
the
I understand.
streets. Right.
But you know that for revolution, we need a leader. We need a strategy, right?
You don't think
Am
that
I right?
you don't think these kids on the street everywhere in Iran have a strategy? I'm sure they have a plan. It could not come together like this. They have planned this, Reza, and it's not, the floodgates have opened. There's no going back.
The problem
There's
is
no way they're going to close those floodgates now.
the Mrs. Roxanne, the problem is you think government is happy to take a referendum in place, which is not true at all. The referendum, when I say is a good solution, if opposition put their energy and put a pressure on government to put the referendum in place. If not, we just need to watch and see what is happening in Iran by kids and by young generation, which I think consequently there won't be any change regime and more people will be killed by this government. They are dictator, yes, I agree. But I rather to think realistically at this stage. Yes, we all want freedom, we all want basic human rights, but no one has a solution, right?
Reza,
Okay,
Reza.
I'm just gonna sum up.
Can I make
Okay.
a comment, please?
N- n-
For
Let him
25,
finish, please. Yeah, sorry,
No,
Majid.
Reza, wrap it up because, definitely a referendum is a conspiracy of the reformists in Iran. Is
Well,
is
no, but let
absolute.
me no, sorry,
Yes,
no,
conspiracy.
Majid. No, of
This
course,
is
but
their conspiracy. Why
I,
why not?
I understand.
Because they
Okay,
want to come back to the
I got the point.
power again,
I
and
understand.
they want to come back to power again, and then they are dealing with the regime
Yeah. I
behind the
understand,
scenes.
Majid. I got your
So
point. Okay, just calm down for a second. The point is, this proposal has been brought up uh, with a group here in Clubhouse. Today, it was a room, Iranian man, and they were talking about the potential reform. It doesn't mean, that the main core of the government, who has the power now in Iran, accept the terms, right? These people are out of the government now. They're not welcome in Islamic Republic anymore, and they've probably lost their popularity. I'm not too sure about the numbers, so I'm not going to talk about the numbers. But everyone knows that reformists now in Iran, they're not popular anymore as they were back in 2009. With regards to the Green Movement. Okay, I get that. So let's just pass this because there are many speakers here on the stage. So Reza, I want you to just wrap it up your speech, and then we'll get back to you later. Okay, thank you.
No, I think it's enough. If I can talk, I can talk and explain the current situation endlessly. I can talk from now till tomorrow and mention the number of the people: 82 people killed in Zahedan, more than 100 people killed in Iran for hijab. It's ridiculous. But I'd rather think about solution. So I'm gonna close. I'm gonna pass the mic to you, Roozbeh, and maybe after some speakers,
oh no, I
will
know,
answer again.
Reza. So in Green Movement, we had a very peaceful solution: reform. What happened to the reform at that time?
Okay, what happened?
Yeah,
One of
what happened?
the one
We
of the
didn't want
outcome.
change. We didn't want change the regime.
Now, at
Green
that
Movement.
time,
So what
yes,
happened for that? Now we tried all the solution before. Now people asking only changing the regime, but you bring on the table. Actually, you want to say referendum, and then I'm asking, what do you want? What the
okay,
matter?
Mr.
What
Rasoli.
subject you want to bring for the referendum? Asking people for what? If
Okay,
you
Mr.
asking for
Rasoli.
hijab, we need the fatwa. We don't need the referendum. Just
Right.
is it very simple? Khamenei can said, okay, hijab is not mandatory anymore. Gone. Why
No,
we have spent billion of reals or 2 months
it's simple.
and then holding the referendum for asking the women, you like the hijab or not?
Mr. Rasuli, if it was as simple as you mentioned, it would have happened in the past 43 years. But the problem is the social stuff is unpredictable. We can't predict the next week or the week after, but we can talk about the current situation. You asked me what happened in Green Movement. Whatever we see in Iran's streets at the moment is because of green movement. Part of it, because the Z generation, they are hopeless. They don't have anything to lose because their parents, the previous generation, they couldn't earn anything because they were so conservative. That was one of the outcomes of green movement that we see in Tehran, in other cities. That young generation,
That
they
made
directly
absolutely no
talk
sense.
with the
That made
leader.
no sense what you just said.
Reza, can I ask a
Okay,
question from you?
I don't know
Reza?
who was talking.
Yeah, I'm Simko.
Uh,
Can I ask a
Samko,
question?
just a second. Sorry.
Just,
Let's not turn.
Roosevelt,
Yeah, okay.
just one
Okay.
question.
Okay. You just
Just one
ask your
question.
question, and let's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
turn
just
this
one
to a
question. Just
debate.
I want to
Okay.
ask.
And then okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, I want to ask Reza. Okay, Reza, you're talking about the referendum, and we are talking about the reform. Okay, and I remember because I was the fan of Kaiser before, not now. So, and I know that from '88, I should until now, Mr. Kaiser they talk about referendum and talk about reform, and what do you know? So, I have a question. Where is Mr. Tajade?
In prison.
Yeah, he's in jail. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So I think that you know the answer of
but
uh
Semko, you know that at the time when Taizada were talking about these topics, he had no, supporter. He was alone. He was alone. When you are alone, when you've got an idea, if you are alone, yes, government has a power to put you in jail. But if you've got a millions of supporter, then you can talk. Then you can negotiate.
okay, right. But another thing is that this young generation doesn't accept the governance. It means that there is no any supporter for referendum, and that's it.
Okay, then we need to wait and watch what's happening right inside Iran.
Yeah. Sure. That's what we do. Thank
Reza,
you
for
so much.
25 years, your site has been saying the exact same thing. And now after all that's happened, you're saying the exact same thing again. What does it take? That's my only question. What does it take for you guys to realize that you've conned the Iranian nation for more than 2 decades and it's time to put an end to it? What is it going to take? A nuclear bomb? Maybe like a few cities being burnt? Is that suffice for you to stop with the whole reformist dialogue?
Okay. Let's.
I'm not here to I'm not here to support government, Nima. So that's why I'm not going to answer your question.
Yeah, sure. I would say, well, everyone knows Reza here in Clubhouse, and we may share different thoughts for sure. I know that he's a patriot. He loves Iran, and I like your Australian accent, Reza. It's really cool. Uh, so if we can just pass this for a while, I know that because I know this is going to turn into like a debate or discussion, and so let's let other speakers talk. And Reza, if you just remain in the stage, that would be much appreciated. We'll get back to you soon. Shayan, welcome to the stage. The mark is yours.
Hi, thanks, Roozbeh Jan. Hi, everyone. Well, I've been listening, and first of all, I have some issues with the title of your room. It says Iran's post-uprising consequences for the Islamic Republic. It automatically assumes that, first of all, this uprising is going to die, and then it's asking the question, what will be the consequences for the Islamic regime? So it also assumes that the Islamic regime will survive after this uprising. None of these things are certain because, for a variety of reasons, this uprising is totally different from the previous uprisings that we have witnessed over the past 43 years. So this assumption is not really, I don't know, it may happen or may not, I don't know, maybe the Islamic Republic will survive, who knows. But from what we are seeing, nothing will be the same for the Islamic Republic. Even if we assume that they will survive this round of the uprising, it will be very difficult for them to bring things back to what you may call normal. Normal. When I say normal, I say it with some, uh, caveats, that normal in the sense that Islamic Republic can ever be normal. It's an abnormal regime, so nothing under Islamic regime is normal, but normal relative to what they had before. And I don't believe they can do that because there are lots of things that have changed. And not only that, their situation is worsening uh, day by day in terms of economic, in terms of their international standing, in terms of their ability to fool the international community in supporting them. The whole world is kind of turning against them. All this solidarity with the Iranian people that we have never seen on the international community, from artists to famous people to you name it. They're behind the Iranian people and they are turning against the Islamic regime. This is something that we have never witnessed before. And in terms of internal situation, the same thing. Over the past 43 years, I don't ever remember during any of the uprisings, any of the famous people from, I don't know, from, sports personalities to actors to university professors and, all kinds of other people who have come out and actively and publicly supported the protesters. I don't believe it ever happened like this. So something internally has changed, both in the moods of the people and in the moods of the civil society. So nothing will be the same. Economically, the same thing. Now there are reports that enormous amounts of money is being transferred out of Iran. So we know this money is not being transferred from Iran to other countries by ordinary people. These are big businesses. These are big regime supporters. These are the mafia that is the backbone of this regime. Even they are kind of worried about the survival of the regime, so they are trying to safeguard their money and they're sending it abroad and all that stuff. So nothing will be the same for the Islamic regime. Islamic regime will be much, much weaker than you can ever imagine. So, having said all that, I don't believe that they will survive this uprising. But one cannot, put a date on it that, on whatever, November, 30th or whatever, the regime is going to collapse. We can't do that. Nobody can do that. But the fact of the matter is that the regime before this uprising was weak. There was, there were many crises that they were getting bigger and bigger and bigger. All these storms were getting larger, and dissatisfaction with the people, economic situation, international scenes, all kinds of things. You know better than I do the environmental situation in Iran. All kinds of things are coming together, and this uprising was not because of one issue, and it wasn't done by particular segments of the society, even though women of Iran are playing a pivotal role in this round. But the causes that were there wasn't just one. There were lots of different things that caused this uprising. So I don't think the Islamic regime will survive this. I mean, it may linger on for a while, but I don't see any possibility for them to survive. Now, in terms of the referendum that my friend Reza was saying, again, this is just wishful thinking on parts of many people who are trying to kind of find a solution for this regime and for the people that, maybe we can find a peaceful way of, moving on and moving beyond this regime, and somehow we can push this regime aside peacefully through a referendum or something. So it's impossible. It's impossible. And the Islamic regime will not do that. Even people who are proposing to have referendums on, say, hijab or some other stuff, they don't truly understand the nature of this regime and the supreme leader of this regime. They truly believe that if they step back, even very small step back, and give in to the will of the people, that is the beginning of their end, because there will be no end to people's demand. So that's their mentality. That's how they operate. That's how they have been operating for the past 43 years. So there's absolutely no way they will give in to any of people's demands. That's how they think. That's how they have been operating. That's their whole being. So talking about referendums or some peaceful means to do some kind of a reform within this regime, it's just, I don't know, wishful thinking at best and naivete at worst. And it's impossible to me. I mean, it's not going to happen. And regardless of how many times they say that, it may or may not happen, we should push for it, it's better than, this and that, I don't think it will happen. There is no history of this for this regime. They've never done this. They have never given up on anything willfully and peacefully. They have gone to the last, second of resisting on every issue, if you think about it. They have never done this, especially with the Iranian people. With the foreigners, yes. They did it with hostage taking. They resisted until the last second, and then by international force or whatever, they gave in and they released the hostages as soon as Reagan came. In terms of Iran-Iraq war, the same thing. They resisted until the last second. But they didn't do it. They didn't sign the peace treaty because the Iranian people were demanding it. The Iranian people for many years before that wanted to see peace. But they didn't listen. They only did it when they had absolutely no other choice. And many other issues. The same thing with, this nuclear deal. You can see it with everything else. But with Iranian people, they have never given up on their ways or their ideologies or their way of doing things. And it's not in the personality of the supreme leader. He is the type that he actually thrives in doing the exact opposite of what people want. If you look at his behavior, he does exactly the opposite of what people want. Exact opposite. As if he wants to send the message that, I do this because you want the exact opposite and I'm not going to listen to you. On every issue, on every appointment. Look at all these government appointments that he does. He appoints purposely and willfully the worst person that everyone hates, he appoints to the key position that people don't want him to be there. That's how he operates. That's who he is, and he's not going to change. You can't change an 80-something-year-old man's behavior or personality or his attitude or his ideas. You can't do that.
Yep.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thank
Sharon John. Yeah, thanks for your speech.
So,
Yeah,
Roozbeh,
just a second, Majid. Let me just finish. Well, I'm just going to welcome everyone who joined us into this room. We're running this room in English to show our solidarity and sympathy with the Iranian protesters. The reason we are holding this room in English is a kind of practice for each and every one of us. Uh, our non-Iranian friends are more than welcome to join us in this stage. And I thank everyone. I know that we may share different thoughts, different points of view, and that's the beauty of dialogues. That's the beauty of the Clubhouse platform. We're sitting in a stage together. The audiences listen to us. Uh, like I do believe that talking about the referendum from the reformists in Iran is somehow the deviation from the main target of these movements. That's my personal point of view. I'm not insisting on that at all, but I believe everybody has a point to share. Like in my book, that's not going to work, right? Maybe 2-3 years ago, maybe back in 2009 during the Green Movement, while we were looking for our votes and we simply asked, where are my votes? And then the police answered us with bullets. And too many of us, including myself and Majid, and I would say a bunch of people here in this stage, we have to move, we have to leave our homeland. Leaving our homeland doesn't mean that we're not Iranians anymore. The Iranian diaspora has become stronger through the decades after Islamic Revolution back in 1979. And I believe I'm more than happy to see this beautiful Persian carpet, as someone mentioned, I'm not sure who, that no matter what language we speak, no matter what ethnicity do we belong, we need to come together as one. We need to be united because the common enemy is the Islamic regime who imposed its stupid, useless policies through the decades to our beautiful country. The people who know me here in Clubhouse, they know that like I'm not an activist. I'm just a hardware structure expert. I'm kind of researcher for the environment, and my biggest concern is the disintegration of Iran's land if the current government continues to keep the power. So again, I thank everyone in the stage. Sorry for the people who had to wait a little bit. And if you don't mind, Mahyar, I know that it's your time, but if you don't mind, I'm just going to pass the mic to David Etebari because of the time zone, and then we'll get back to you, Mahyar. If it's okay, just show it to me. So I'm just going to pass the mic to David.
that's
so
fine.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
No, I had a question from the Shayan, but I can ask later if.
Yeah, if you can just keep it. Let's the speakers talk for the first round, and then we'll get back. I got questions from Roxanne. I got questions from Nima, and Reza as well. But let's just the other speakers talk for one round. I know that Siamk, Mahyar, and Amin are in the queue, but if you don't mind, I'm just gonna give the
No,
stage
it's
to
okay.
David.
Go ahead, and then I ask later.
Yeah,
Sounds
that would be
fine.
great, Magic John, if you be a little bit patient. That's great. David Etabari, welcome to our stage. I would say this is our third English room we're running. We're kind of practicing. So you'll forgive my manners. The stage is yours, David.
You're doing a great job. I was at the last one. I must have missed one of them, but keep doing what you're doing, raising awareness and practice or not. We're in the middle of something real. I'm going to get to the subject really fast, but before doing that, I'm not going to talk a lot. Shayan said I heard part of what he was saying. I totally agree with him. But just looking at Googling Iran news in the past 24 hours, I'm just naming the uh, mm, media that have specifically talked about the subject within the past 24 hours as early as just 1 hour ago. Just names: NPR, Bloomberg, Reuters, CNN. I'm skipping Iran International, right? Just international stuff that's non-Iranian. ABC News, Reuters again, Arab Center, Washington D.C., Financial Times, Jerusalem Post, Washington Times, New Haven Register, CNET. That's a major uh, media that deals with IT and computer, and the title is VPN demand surges in Iran as protests continue. The Dolce Valley, UALR Public Radio, WFMZ, JNZ, Spectrum News, Time of Israel. And these are only the English ones: JNS, Reuters, Times of Israel again. And the list goes on. Saturday Morning News, Dallas Morning News, even the local ones, and so on. I'm on page 3 and going to page 4, ABC News, etc., etc. I do this every day, and usually after the first or second page, which usually had to do with JCPOA, the news stopped, and then it got me into German, Italian, other things. I'm on page 7, and still the English news, and it's all has to do with the protest. Goes on. I'm on page 9 and goes on. You get the draft on where I'm going with this, and the number of the tweets and everything. Iran protests, or whatever you call it, the revolution, whatever it is the top of the news, one of the top news of the world media, after it got on the antenna of the civil society. It's at the media, hoping, and politicians of the world are realizing it, and they have to respond, and they are responding. We see things happening on the floor of the EU, European Union, other places, and conversations that's going on, and in the JCPO, everything else is kind of on the background right now. Just saying that this is the magnitude of what's happening. I haven't seen this. I didn't even see it during the 2009 or Green Movement. This much uh, publicity. When I say publicity, that one was news. This is more beyond news. This is like news and solidarity, kind of like people understanding what's going on in Iran. Now, I said all this because of one thing. The title says Iran's post-uprising consequences for the Islamic Republic. Great article, by the way. Great title, by the way. Congratulations. My point is that I'm not going to put a timeline on this post uprising. Uprising, are we talking about tomorrow, next week, or next month? But I'm talking about long term. The people who came in the street are the youngest Iranians, and the ones who care about themselves, their life, and their future, and they are in contact with the world through internet. They were born with, not like me, that during my life internet was started, social media then later started, and so on. These are the generation of the information age. They were born with the cell phones and all that in their hands, after a few years old. So they're in direct contact with the world, and we cannot stop that communication. The Islamic Republic has not been able and will never be able to do it, because it's like air, and no matter what, they're going to find a way to gasp that air and breathe it, and that's what they're doing. And actually, one of the articles, I went through like 8, 9 of them. Some great articles, some great conversations. It's not many of them. There are interviews, etc. That it's not just, oh, this happened in Iran and just news reporting. They're going deep into what's going on, what's ahead for Islamic Republic, etc. And it shows that there is an understanding beyond just the talk, and this is how it starts. My last point is this: future of this uprising is one thing. The youth, the same ones that with the song of Hello Leader, Salam Farmande, they try to show that they are for the regime. The same ones are out there and saying, this is enough. We want to be in the same wavelength at as the world, and that's not the case. And we cannot stand this because we want the future, because we are the future. That's what they're saying. I'm not the future. I'm part of the past. I'm in my 60s, but I'm happy. I'm unhappy about what's happening to. They are like my kids. Every one of them are like my kids, and I'm really concerned about them. But at the same time, I'm very hopeful and happy about future of Iran, and as a matter of fact, Middle East. If these are the kids who will, and these are the kids that the Iran belong to them, and they are, no matter what, they're gonna grow up. And I know kids always have more more they're more active and all that, and later people change. But one thing doesn't change is that their dream, what they want and what they don't want, that doesn't. The main thing, I'm not talking about ideology, I'm talking about life, a connection, communication, and all those things, life and freedom. This is what they want. This is the future. They can stop it, they can crash it, they can do whatever they want, but the future already is written right there on the map of Iran, and that's these kids. And I'm very hopeful about what's going to happen sooner or later. And sooner or later, they better understand. Like Shayan said, an 80-year-old will not understand it, but he's one of the past. But the ones who are running the country are not Khamenei's of Iran. The bureaucrats, and actually many of them the reformists, they should realize that you cannot stop the time, and the time moves forward. And whether it's religion, ideology, whatever your thought is, you should realize it has to be updated with time or become thing of the past. And Islamic Republic, in my opinion, is the thing of the past sooner or later. Thank you for your time and for the great room.
Thanks, David John, for joining the stage. Anytime you talk, I just listen and learn. Thank you so much. Let's just come back to the order. I would say Mahyar and Siamak and Amin will be our upcoming speakers. Mahyar John, the stage is yours.
Hey everyone, can you hear my voice?
Well, if you got a headphone, please remove that so the voice quality will be better. Thank you.
Okay, can Siamak talk and I'll go after.
All right then. Okay, Siamak John, Mr. Zant.
Yes, greetings to all the people present in this room. You know, when we cannot define what's really happening in Iran and give it different names, it shows the ignorance of some. Mr. David, I'm not referring to you as an ignorant person or anything of the sort. You mentioned 100 publications, right? Did you read in any of those news outlets or publications about an uprising in Iran? Answer me, Mr. David. Ladies and gentlemen.
I read like 50% of them, yes.
Mentioning the word uprising?
Yes, uprising, revolution,
No, all
movement,
right.
everything else.
Give me a link. Give me a link mentioning the word uprising. Mr. David, I'm a journalist. No journalist would make such a remark without any substantiation. What is happening in Iran is a spontaneous movement by the younger generation protesting an event that happened 20 some days ago. And these protests are not organized. As I said, they are spontaneous. They are not an uprising. An uprising is when millions of people go to the streets and
No, not
uprise.
necessarily. Not necessarily, Siamak John. No, I'm sorry. We're not discussing the terms, are we? Just let's get back to the word. Let's get back to the topic. Just talk about the topic. You know what? You can use the word movement instead of uprising if
Well,
it's a big
very
deal for
well,
you.
very well. When we start, propagating wrong terms,
We're not
what else
propagating.
do you
I
expect?
told you. I no. You were not here. I said we may use different terms. Some people use it revolution. Some people use it movement. Some people say uprising. Some people say rebellion. The terms are not important. What is important is that the Iranian protesters are out there. Okay, so please get back to the point and trying. And I want you not to turn this sort of discussion into a debate between you or anyone else in this stage.
I'm
Thank you.
not debating anyone. I'm
You are
just
doing it. You are doing it. Talking with
well,
David.
sir. If you don't want to listen to what I have to
No,
say,
no, I'm more than eager to listen to what you have to say. But please,
Roosevelt,
don't
let
discuss the
Siamk
terms.
speak. Siamk,
No, no,
go
Siam, I
ahead.
can speak. No,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
no, no, no. I invite no
Because
Majid.
you know
Majid,
what?
Majid John.
This is what I'm trying to say. As I
Yeah,
said
go ahead.
earlier, as a journalist who has been following those events for the past 25 days, spontaneous movement. Well, I've been following it before 20 days, behind the scenes. And no floodgates have opened in Iran to overthrow the regime yet,
They
you
have
think.
definitely opened, Mr. Siamak, and they will not shut down. If it's not today,
Well,
it will
that
be
is your
next.
opinion. That is your opinion. You are
You're a
entitled to your
journalist, and
opinion.
so am I. I'm a journalist too, and I believe me, there are many.
What are your credentials as a
My credentials:
journalist?
a journalism degree from UCLA, and what are yours?
What journal what publication have you ever worked for?
I've worked for many publications. I haven't worked for a national publication in the United States, but I've been on many of these broadcasting journalistic Iranian channels. So I mean,
You have
you don't
been
need.
there as a pundit, not as a journalist, madam.
Well, I've been a journalist on Iranian television and Iranian newspaper, and so just because they're Iranian doesn't mean that I'm not a journalist. I'm sorry, Mr.
Well,
Siamak.
anyhow, you know what? Everybody can claim whatever he wants, but when there are no records showing that, these claims cannot be bona fide. That's what I'm trying to say. And Mr.
Siamk,
Roozbeh,
don't
Well, what are you gaining from
personalize the
trying to
issue.
shutting down the revolution, a new revolution by these young kids who are risking
what
their life? What are
revolution?
you
What
gaining?
revolution? Khanum, what revolution?
This is
Siamak,
the
please.
beginning of a
No, sorry,
revolution.
Roxanne. Roxanne, for a
آخه
second. Sorry.
ببینید with such
Anna,
a
wait.
mentality,
Okay, Siamak John.
you are
Just
killing debate.
no,
You
no.
آقای
are
سیامک،
Okay,
شما
killing
we're
همه
not.
رو
debate.
احمق میبینی. You see
No,
everybody as being idiots.
Mr. Roozbeh,
yeah,
kindly ask
okay.
this lady to keep quiet and not to jump
No,
into my
no.
mic.
Just before you go ahead, Siamak, I kindly ask you something, please. Let's do not turn this room into a debate. I told you. I don't care if you believe this is not going to work. This is deviation. We're not. I said at the very beginning of the room, we are not discussing the terms. Okay, you can call it whatever you want. You can call it efteshashad. I don't care. Okay, I don't fucking care. Just get to your point.
You
Talk about
care. Why are you saying
no,
like
no,
last time at that room?
no, no, no. I'm saying
You
of
care
course I
even.
do. I do care because this is not ehteshash, okay? But talking about if this is a rebellion or uprising, this is not the point, Siamak John. Just get to the point, finish your speech, wrap it up, and because we have other speakers at this stage. Thank you.
Well, all right. Shall we stick
آقای
to the
سیامک,
fact?
do you think AP is a valid news? Oh, sorry,
خانم
Reuters.
مایکت ببند
Reuters
مایکت
is
ببند
saying
خانم
Aga,
Michael Bevan,
Reuters is saying the one striking similarity
you
the
keep
current protests
you
have
keep your mouth
with
shut.
1979 is the
Hey,
mood
hey,
on the
hey, hey.
streets.
No,
به گوش بده مگه نگفتید
don't
کدوم
talk to a
میگه؟
woman like that.
آقا مگه
no, no.
نگفتش
I
که
sent
بیاید
you.
بگین
Now,
کدوم؟
Roxanne John, wait a second.
who sent it?
Siamk Zan. No, I did.
آقا یه دقیقه
Because
واسه من اینو
No,
بخونم
don't
فقط
do
مگه
that.
نگفت
نه
بیاین
نه نه
بگین
من
کدوم؟
فرستادم. یه دقیقه صبر کنید ببخشید. آقای زند، شما حق ندارید به یه خانوم در استیج بگید دهنتو ببند. خب لطف کنید اگه نمیتونید با ادب صحبت کنید اتاق ما رو ترک کنید.
رویترز امروز نوشته the one striking similarity the current protests have with the 1979 is the mood on the streets which is explicitly revolutionary. They don't want reform, they want regime change, says Arbabi. میتونین برین رویترز رو بزنین تو یاهو نیوز. از تایتل آرتیکل هم هست Analysis Race to Crush Unrest Iran's rulers heat lessons of Shah's fall analysts. بریم بزنین آقای سیامک ریپورتر اینجا توی رویترز داره میگه the mood on the streets which is explicitly revolutionary. There's the word revolution for you, sir.
Guys, half English, half Farsi. It makes the room like a joke. Please. Only English. We have a lot of foreigners.
All right then. Okay, Siamk, go on. Mr. Zand, you're not about to speak or what? Apparently not.
Why? I am about to speak if I'm not going to be interrupted.
You're
And
not
I
going to
don't.
be interrupted. Go ahead.
Great. So, what happened in Iran is a spontaneous uprising by the younger generation for an unjust deed that was done by the regime to a young girl. Nothing more, nothing less. Now, whether it had to do with the hijab or not, that is secondary. The first reason that the young people rose on the streets was the unjust treatment that a young Kurdish girl received at the hands of the people of the regime, whether they are Basijis, Pastars, or whatever it is. These protests are not organized. There is no organization behind them. I am 81 years old. I've been through the 79 revolution. I've been through other uprisings. Has any of you ever heard any of those young people on the streets of Iran mention the name of those people who claim that we are the leaders of those young people? No, because those we in the diaspora, we only can give our moral support to what's happening to those young people in Iran. We claim that we can do this. We claim that we can do that. None of us can do more than giving our moral support. Some who are well to do financially perhaps can go through different means of supporting some of the families that have been affected by these protests. Well, that is a very noble cause. But if anybody here in this room can tell me of anything else that we can do in support of those young people on the streets of Tehran, let him say his piece or keep quiet. So, in other words, if we do not really look at the facts on the ground, if we call things that are not what's really happening other names, well, we're kidding ourselves. We're just like an ostrich putting our head in the sand. Everybody would love to see the end of this regime. Every Iranian patriot, every Iranian who cares about Iran, whether in the diaspora and or the people in Iran. But you know what's being proven at the time being? What is being proven at the time being that the younger generation in Iran are the inheritors of the future Iran, not old people like us sitting here in the clubhouse giving opinions about this and that. The thing is, those younger people will organize sooner or later. the regime will have to adjust itself to the demands of these younger people. But if anybody thinks that tomorrow the Islamic regime of Iran is going to be overthrown or is going to be go away, I'm sorry to say this, that you people who think in that manner are quite mistaken. They're hopeful that this thing will happen. I'm hopeful too, but I don't see it happening. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Zant, for your speech.
Yes, Mr. Zand, if you are able, please control your background. Thank you so much.
I just want to add that
If it's just a short comment, David, go
yeah,
on.
very short comment. If you just type Iran uprising, Google News, you'll see how many have used that. Just CNN, that's usually on the Democrat side in U.S. On the second paragraph says the uprising has received considerable attention in the Western press, especially as the fundamentalist Islamic regime has cracked down on the demonstrations with brute force. Just to prove that the word uprising has been used a lot, and exactly that's what it is. And it's heading towards a movement. If it has more leadership and toward revolution, if it all everything goes in place, but it may not. But at least it's uprising. It's
Well, if
Yeah,
you think it's an uprising, then it will have results pretty soon, and let's wait and see that happening.
yeah. I would say if people like you stop spreading negativity in the clubhouse rooms, yeah, we may get somewhere. And I'm accountable for the title because I chose the title, okay? And I'm very careful with the terms and the words, right? So thanks for your speech, Mr. Zant. Uh, Mahir, if you can speak up now, now's the time. I'm not too sure if
Thank you
you
so
can.
much.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. First, thanks for holding this in English. My extensive vocabulary in political activism is far greater than in English than it is in Farsi, even though I grew up in Iran. So thanks for that. I just wanted to touch on a couple of things. The word peaceful was mentioned a few times at the beginning and throughout. And in my activism in, let's say, women's rights or indigenous rights or queer rights here in Australia, I've become fond of this slogan that is "No justice, no peace." So when the rights to civil disagreement is not on it, it is and human rights are taken away. I think it's not like use of any necessary means to defend yourself is not only justifiable but also
Sorry to cut you.
moral.
Sorry to cut you, Mahir. We've kind of explained the terms of the
Right.
like legitimate right for defense or rightful defense. Okay, let's not go that road. Let's just talk about the topic,
Excellent.
if you don't mind. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. To answer your question and the topic, I think what we can see in this movement, or whatever that name you want to call it, the thing that makes me hopeful is the fact that I can see people who are not necessarily within the regime, but sympathizers or supporters of the cause of the regime, are being disillusioned with the idea of reform from within, given the fact that there is no meaningful opposition. And I agree with David and Nima's point about further international isolation, which further makes me hopeful that even if it's not today or tomorrow or a year from now, but this is a movement that there is. I can't see a future in the Islamic Republic. And I know we've moved. There was mention of referendum. I just wanted to say that it's not as a realistic sort of solution. I don't think it's realistic, given the lack of, again, meaningful opposition, the lack of appetite from the rulers, and the lack of trust in people for a honorable or for a free election. And that's pretty much all I had to say. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks to you. One more time, I want everyone to be, well, first of all, we're here to talk, okay? We're not here to fight. And I believe that Mr. Zan's wife didn't really agree of what he said, so probably that's why he's left the room. We'll let everyone to speak in here, but I, well, I disagree the whole concept of spreading negativity in the rooms like that. We know that everyone who's in this room is not fighting in the streets. It's not present in the streets. I get that part, but please be mindful of what you say. Do not attack anyone because of a different points of view or whatever. Okay, I kindly ask everyone to be relaxed a little bit, and we know how this works, right? We know when someone comes and talk with a very nice American accent or Australian or whatever, right? We're not discussing the accents. First of all, if I have an accent, I'm proud of it because it says I can speak a different language. Uh, at the very beginning of this room, I saw that people mocked Majid Rasuli of because of his language. I believe you're doing okay, Majid. So far, so good. But Majid, like English is Majid third language. His mother tongue is Turkish, and then he learned Persian, and now he speaks English as well. So I myself speak four languages, but of course, none of them are as perfect as my Persian, which is my mother tongue, and I'm proud to be a Persian speaker. But don't be ashamed, be brave, come to the stage, speak up, look at the people who are getting killed because of their rightful rights that they're looking, and we're not gonna mock. Like I'll show zero tolerance for mocking or verbal harassment. Don't do that. This is not the right place. We're not here to make jokes. We're not here to make fun of each other's accent or ability to speak a different language, which is not our mother tongue. So please be mindful of that. I'm not going to tell that again. I believe the time is so precious for everyone who's come to stage, okay? So please, I'm asking you kindly, I'm begging you, don't do that. Not this time, okay? There are lots of other rooms you can go over there and start your monkey businesses in there. Please do not do this in here because we are all here for a reason. It's midnight in North America, most of the parts, East Coast, and everybody should get back to the work tomorrow. Respect yourself, respect the others, and don't forget what Malcolm X said. He said, respect begins with oneself. Respect yourself with not offending other people, especially speakers. If I see any sort of sarcasm, any sort of offense or insult in the comment room, I will immediately remove and block that guy. Okay? So if you're interested to the topic, stay here. We haven't sold tickets. Everyone's just invited, and that's all. And the hand rise is open. I've received a back channel text that the hand rise is not open. It is open, but if anybody wants to speak, please send me a text in my back channel. I will invite you to the stage, and then you can speak up. Thank you so much. I believe it's time for Amin John, go ahead. Unless any of the speaker, any of the moderators, including Majid or Roxanne or Nima or Semko, has something to say. Roxanne, do you have anything to say to kind of give everyone some sort of recap, if you don't mind, Roxanne?
Uh, well, I mean, it truly bothers me that some people still, I mean, okay, even if they think that this revolution is not going to, this revolution, uprising, whatever we want to call it, it's absolutely a major event happening in our country. And instead of being encouraging for these young kids that are taking their lives in their hands and standing in front of these terrorist mullahs, instead of encouraging them, and that we want to undermine their efforts. And that truly bothers me these days. If you don't agree, you know, that it's going to get somewhere, then you're not really seeing the true picture. This is totally different than all the other times. And even during the Green Movement, the slogan that started out, "Where's my vote?" then turned out to be green and white is all سبز و سفید بهانه است کل نظام نشان است. The green and white is just what do you call it? I
An
Excuse.
excuse.
excuse, right?
Islam
Sorry, I blanked
excuses,
out for
yeah.
a minute.
Well. Well,
And
actually, they said conservative. No, that actually they said conservative or reformists. Enough is enough. We're targeting the main core of the government. If I, well, forgive
exactly.
my language, but I would say that would be the right
And
translation.
today on the streets, they're not just saying hijab. They're not. They're saying, obviously, down with Khamenei, death to Khamenei, death to Rouhani. They're saying that we don't want this entire regime. We want regime change. We don't want these people anymore. So, I mean, it's not about it. Mahsa has become the face of this movement, but she's not the only one who's lost her life. Not today. For the past 43 years, we've had many like this beautiful young woman. But these people who closed their eyes to this movement, and they closed their eyes to what kind of a country the Islamic Republic has built for these young people, that they're willing to die. Maybe they can free the country for the future generation. This is a lot. They don't see a future for themselves. They're even willing to give up their lives for freedom. So if you guys can appreciate that, if you guys don't see this as a movement for the freedom of our country and want to still give this regime a chance, shame on you. Shame on you. You've got kids. I'm sure you have grandkids. These kids could be your kids. These kids could be your brother and sister, your grandkids. Shame on you for closing your eyes on this huge, beautiful movement that these courageous young people in Iran have started. And we should all be their voices, and we should amplify their voices. If we can't do that, just keep quiet. Sorry, I don't mean to be rude. Just go home. Take a break.
Actually, Roxanne جان دل من
Take a
خنک کردید ولی but yeah, thanks. If you don't mind, I mean, John, because we got ladies on the stage, let's hear the ladies first, because I believe that the beginning of this movement belongs to Iranian women. So if you don't mind, thank you. I mean, John, you showed your class. I want Sima and Anamika, if I pronounce it right, to speak. Mohammed Hussein, I saw your blinking. If you can be a little bit more patient. Mayor John, did you finish or I just cut you off? Sorry about that. Did you finish,
No, I'm
Mayor?
finished. Thank you so much.
Oh, okay, you are. Okay, thank you. And thanks for waiting too long in the line, you know. I hate it when it turns to a debate. Like I like debates, right? But I would say tonight let's all speakers speak for the first round, and then we'll get back to Majid John and Nima John and Roxanne John. These guys are very dear to me. Like I made friends here in Clubhouse, and I'm more than proud to be with these guys at this stage. I appreciate what Majid while I proposed this to Majid, he could have been timid, but he was brave enough, courageous enough to accept my offer. And here we go. So we all owe this room to Majid Rasuli. Thanks, Majid John. Sima John, stage is yours.
Hi, thank you for putting this room on. I'm kind of impressed. We have a lot of English-speaking rooms these days. Actually, my friend Shal and I think we started one of the earliest rooms. We just had a small group but I'm really impressed with the number of Iranians that I see in here who actually speak English. And I didn't know Majid spoke English, so I'm actually pleasantly surprised to see him here and that he's on the side of the protesters. So that's good to see. Yeah, I have to say that in my personal opinion, this uprising that's been going on for 20 days, in my opinion, is the beginning of a revolution, because just think about it, with the Islamic fascist regime of the last 44 years, cutting off the internet and just trying every which way to cut off media, we've still managed to get the information from Iran. And clearly what I saw in multiple videos, I probably saw, I'm sure, at least 100 videos where the people in Iran were clearly chanting that they did not want this regime. You didn't hear them asking for reform. So I'm kind of very surprised that we still have people around who think reform may work, when really in 44 years, I don't think they have really accomplished anything, and hence all the murders that we see by this regime. So I'm very tired right now, so I apologize. I'm going to keep my speech short so everybody else has a chance to speak. But I'm really here to support all the Mahsa Aminis that gave life in the name of freedom for all of the Iranians, whether they're male or female or whatever. So that's what I'm here for. And I'm really pleased to see that all of us Iranians are able to, in one voice, support each other despite some, ideological or maybe political differences that we have. I'm glad to see that we all at least agree that this Islamic regime that's been in place for 44 years has not done the people of Iran justice. And it has, from what I have seen, it has only murdered citizens. It hasn't been just. And we have maybe, I don't know, a few percent of the population trying to enforce their ideology by force on the rest of our population. So thanks again. I'm going to go down and then I'll exit shortly because I do have to go to work tomorrow. So thank you, everybody.
Yeah, same here. Thank you, Simajan. I'm gonna personally invite Mr. Mohammad Jorjandi if he has time, if he can, if he has the opportunity to speak. Because for the people who do not know Mohammad Jorjandi, he's a great guy. He's been working on this internet securities and despite other people who only talk, uh, he's like a practical person who's put his efforts for the internet security and to help Iranian society to be clean out of scams and hawks and stuff like that. So, Mohammed John, if you have time or if you are able to speak, you're more than welcome to our stage. That was just my personal message for Mohammad Jorjandi, who's a great guy. He's in the audiences now, but I'm just going to invite him personally. Like he's the only one I invite personally. Thank you so much. Anamika John, if you don't mind, because Amin has been waiting for a long time in the queue, we listen to what Amin has to say, and then Anamika speaks, and then we go to Muhammad Hussein Jamshid, and then other Siamk who just joined us recently, Siamk AB. Thank you so much for your patience. Amin John, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Roozbeh. Thank you, Majid. Thank you, Mika, for letting me talk first. Thank you very much. I would love to ask you to let me speak for about 20-25 seconds in Persian for my Iranian compatriots. I think that is necessary based on the comments I'm reading in the chat room. Is that allowed here, Roozbeh?
Go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. دوستان عزیز، من خیلی ممنونم از آقای رسولی و از روزبه عزیز که این اتاق زدن. این یک اتفاقی است که مطمئناً ادامه دار خواهد بود، پخش زنده روی استیج عمده ما. الان فارس زبان هستیم اینجا، ولی می‌خوایم که اتفاق رو طوری به زبان انگلیسی بیان بکنیم که توجه سلبریتی های کلاب هاوس و افرادی که اینجا قدرت دارن، تاثیر دارن، اونها رو دعوت کنیم در ادامه توی این اتاق باشن. احتمالاً دوستان این پلن رو دارن و حالا ما بین خودمون هی صحبت کنیم خیلی فایده‌ای نداره. باید اتنشن رسانه ها رو روی این اتاق و روی اتفاقاتی که توی ایران میاره بذاریم که یه تاثیر خوبی داشته باشه. واقعا این به نظر من کار خیلی خوبی بوده و کار خیلی ارزنده‌ای بوده. علت هم این هست که اینجا داریم سعی می‌کنیم انگلیسی صحبت بکنیم. ازتون ممنونم. مخاطب افراد دیگه‌ای هستن. Thank you very much for saying something in Persian. I was just trying to explain the reason that we are all speaking in English, while most of us, if not all of us, are Persian speakers on the stage. Thank you very much. So I would love to, for those who don't know what is happening actually, and for those who are English speakers as an international language are listening to me. I just want to brief the situation as fast as I can. So I want to categorize the situation into three subcategories: the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I'm going to begin with the bad. So there was a repetitive behavioral pattern of Iranian police, something we have called Iran is the only country on this planet with a legitimate government that has something which is called morality police, which is responsible for doing something extremely discriminatory. Okay, so I just want to mention a couple of examples. In early 2022, there was a footage of a woman standing in front of a police car, begging, saying that my daughter is ill. Please, please don't take her from me. Okay. So the footage was out. It was terrible. A while later, I've heard that the girl died. I'm not telling that she died in the police custody, but it was very brutal. So the reason that they were taking the girl away was that because that the girl was not following the strict dress codes in Iran, which is discriminatory, and I will get into that. 2021, I think it was September, that there was another footage out that a policeman was brutally taking a woman into police car, forcing her, and even he hit the woman's forehead into the car's body. And it was extremely violent. Again, because the position of the scarf on her head was not exactly where it is supposed to be. Again, people were active on social media, showing their anger, telling us we don't want to see this again. And police response was that, okay, we will investigate into that. We are sure that it's not going to happen again. Up until September 2022. On 13th of September, a 22-year-old Iranian woman who was in a trip to Tehran from her hometown in I think was Saqqez or somewhere, not sure. She was walking along with her brother in the streets. So morality police has stopped her. The brother tried to intervene. He stepped forward and asked, please don't take my sister away. And he has been told that we are taking her for a briefing class and released an hour later. That an hour later turned into returning her breathless body for burial. Who is accountable for that? She was in morality police custody because allegedly she was not following the country's dress code, and her dead body has been returned for burial. This time, before letting police with the ridiculous comment of we will look into that, there was eruption in the streets. There was an eruption. No joke. Just people cannot stand and look this chain and nexus of crisis happening in the country. That's exactly what happened. So someone says that it requires a leader, an organizer. What is the use of a leader? People did not come to the streets because they wanted to, I don't know, they were not following a political agenda. They just cannot
So you're saying
stand and tell.
they're not gonna replace someone with someone else. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, you see this, you witness this, you see that Iranian women are being treated like that, and you cannot do anything. It's like that putting a pot on in a stovetop in an oven and turning the heat on and expecting the water not to boil up. It boils up. It doesn't require a leader. It doesn't require someone to tell it what to do or what not to do. It just cannot stay at home listening to your bullshits of we will look into this. You don't look into anything. You never looked into anything. And we can see this after 3 weeks. Last night, one of the police officials said that police is absolutely clean in whatever happened to Mahsa Amini. And a ridiculous explanation. She was already suffering from a head trauma or something, or she had a brain surgery when she was 5, 6. And her father and her family denied that she has never been into hospital for anything. We are facing a situation that Iranian officials have the courage to look into our faces and say bullshit. And the thing is that people cannot stand that anymore. People are angry. Who talks about a leader, a stupid leader to organize things? And this time, again, this is interesting. This time again, a group of people have asked the government, please, because it is codified in the constitution of the country. I think it's Act 109 or 106, please correct me, or Act 337, not sure, in the Iranian constitution. I forgot that. Led us to hold a peaceful protest. And then again, the white stamp of rejected dropped into that request. مهر پت و پهن نه. And that happened again. So what do you expect people to do? You don't let them talk. You don't let them have the freedom of what they want to wear and what they want to do and what they want to say. You don't let them to peacefully protest. You don't let them to be alive. And now you are asking and discussing and analyzing the reason that people are in the streets. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. And
If you can just wrap it up, I mean, John, that would be great. Thank
yeah,
you.
so that was the bad. The good thing, we learned something that it's not about ethnicity. It's not about being Kurd or Arab or Turk or anything. People are united. We don't really have to be that afraid of collapse and division of the country into multiple nations. Yeah, we need to be worried about that, but not that much. What we can see is that people are united. Thousands of women have cut their hairs across in many, because it's a custom of Kurds for mourning. Cut their hairs, cried, tried to do whatever they could, but their voice is faint. Our voice is faint. Iranians' voice is faint. Iranian women deserve someone to echo their voices. That's what they deserve. We've seen about what happened to George Floyd, and we've seen that Black Lives Matters movement have been covered all around the world. People in many countries have been protesting to support that. Oh my God, in a few months, more than $2.5 billion, there was the property damage in the United States, more than $2.5 billion. And there were media in the streets and people were supporting Americans. So far, as what I am talking, this is the ugly side of the story, sadly. More than, I don't know how many, there are different statistics, there are different numbers, but I think according to Amnesty International, plus 150 people have been died in the past 25 days. More than 100, including children, many children. And the situation is not still horrifying enough for the international media to properly intervene into that, to show the support of Iranians, to condemn the brutal reaction of the governments, of the Iranian government against people who are protesting. That's not good. So here, me, Majid, Roozbeh, Roxanne, everyone, all the Iranians here who just want a bright future for their children, who just want to have the alliance of living, we beg you, I beg you to be our voice. I beg you to support Iranian women. I beg you to don't judge us why we are into this trouble. Don't judge us and support us. However you can. However you can support us. Thank you very much, Roozbeh. Thank you, Majid.
Thanks, Amin John. That was a very nice speech. Thanks a lot. I'm gonna welcome Banu John. Banu, well, it's time for Anamika to speak, but if you're in some sort of rush, you can open your mic and give your speech. If not, if you can wait, we'll listen to two more speakers, which will be Anamika first and then Jamshid, and then we can listen to you. It's up to you. If you're okay,
Yeah, yeah.
Banu John. Okay,
Hello,
then.
hello, Roozbeh Jan,
Hey,
Majid Jan, Roxana Jan. Yeah, I'm waiting. They can speak. I'm here.
all right, that's great. So Anamika, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Roozbeh. I'll keep it very short. One, because yeah, it's 1 o'clock at
Oh,
night for
you're
me.
not Iranian, huh?
I'm not Iranian, but
Great. So you'll have endless time to speak. Go ahead.
no, thank you very much. No, I will still keep it short. I know there are people waiting to talk, and um, I'm not Iranian, but very connected here. I just wanted to say that the speaker before me had very correctly pointed out that yes, it is. Uh, Incumbent upon everybody to stand up to injustice. All I can see here, and we are all in this together, no matter where we are. I am an Indian American, yes, but we understand. We actually relate more than any of you can realize how much we relate to the actual issue and how much we go through, and we get it. So we do stand in complete solidarity. An absolute innocent life has been lost for no reason. It's a cruel injustice, but she has, in a very unfortunate way, made her place in history. And this is an uprising. No matter what, some time ago, some gentleman tried to say that it isn't, but it absolutely is in every way that counts. Because as per the definition, it is basically an insurrection, or it's a revolt, or it's an act of rising up, and it does not have to have a leader. It does not have to have somebody guiding you through it. It does not have to be brewing for over years. It can be an absolute sudden reaction, but it's a collective reaction. It's a revolt, and that's called uprising. So it is uprising in every sense of the word, and it's a revolt. It is a revolution, something we all women are hoping that it does not stop, and it gathers momentum, because everybody needs to stand behind it and throw their weight behind it. And as per the title here, Iran's post-uprising consequences for the Islamic Republic. Well, we sure hope there is, and anybody who thinks in a positive manner in today's time and age, when information travels like faster than the California wildfires. So we know that it's going to reach everywhere, and it's definitely going to give that much needed impetus and that courage and that hope to a lot of other women who are struggling under this regime, Islamic regime, in different countries, 56, 57, whatever our countries, that collectively we are a force. Just because they're being told that gender-wise they're not equal or anything less, or they have to toe the line, uh, it's only when they're alone they probably are not able to, but collectively they are a force. And Iranian women are doing an absolutely fantastic job of showing that to the world. And I'm sure a lot of the liberal world women should feel ashamed of themselves for not standing up and not speaking, but having a voice and opinion and the hand on your keyboards to talk about everything else in the world. But for some reason or the other on this issue, then they just don't, they lose their voice. They don't talk about it. And why the speaker before me asked that why a George Floyd can get this kind of mobilizing across the globe, and why there is all kind of people on the streets and stuff, because and why it's not happening for Iranian women, it's not, is because that's the whole, there is no profit, there is no money in the left liberal ecosystem to make out of it. So we need to just negate this whole ecosystem, how the media runs, how the news goes, how narratives get shaped. And if everybody just wakes up and voices out for the right thing, and negates everything that is wrong, I think together the public all over the world, because we are all at the end of the day brothers and sisters. So if we all get together, then we can actually shut this money making greedy ecosystem down that just does nothing else but pushes narratives just to make money and to keep people down what they want, the ones that they want to keep down. That's all that I have to say at this point. But I appreciate you guys for what you're doing, and it's fantastic and it's a platform for everybody to come and speak. Thank you so much.
Thanks to you, Anamika, and for showing your solidarity with the Iranians. I just got a question for you before you leave. You're a mom, I know. So if you were in Iran, you were a Persian mom, and if your kid or girl, your boy wanted to go out for demonstration, what would be your reaction?
I would go with my child. I would absolutely go with my child. I have a girl, and I'd be very, very proud of her wanting to do it, and I would do that. Um, we have done it. I'm raising my child to be an extremely vocal activist because that's exactly what I am. I practice what I preach, and that's exactly what I'm raising my child to be, to speak up everywhere, even in the United States, and not take any other narrative and take absolutely rooted to your dharma, where you come from, and be very proud about it, and talk about it. That's exactly how I'm raising my child. And if I were there, I would be out with her. Absolutely, no doubt about it.
Great, thank you so much, Anamika John. John means deer in Persian. I'm not sure if you.
Oh, thank you for
So I
telling me. I
kind
didn't
of
realize
granted
that.
you. I kind of granted you that title, so you can keep it for the rest of your life.
Thank you. I take it
You're
with
welcome.
honor and appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Uh, I would say this room maybe has been a little bit tensional. If you don't mind, Majid John, I'm gonna play this song, which is like for freedom, sang by Sherwin Hajipur, which was detained, but fortunately he was released from the prison. So it's kind of 2 minute song, if you don't mind. So for the people who do not know, this song has been inspired from different tweets in Twitter. Uh, he took different parts, collected them all, and sang this song. So all word starts with four, like four women of my homeland, uh, for the next generation, for the elites in prison, four, 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 and four. So if you don't mind, I'm just gonna play this song and then get back to the others.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for listening to this, I would say, masterpiece, which was conducted by Shervin Hajipur. He was
Yeah, and it
detained.
is very painful to say this.
It is,
He
and
was arrested only for expressing wishes of
yeah,
the people of the Iran.
yeah. Well, fortunately, he's released now. So, and Roger Waters tweeted, uh, kind of retweeted his song, and he said, "Hey, Ayatollah, leave us kids alone." So that was a really good one. Thanks everyone who's been very patient in this room. I'm gonna apologize for my coarse language. Sometimes I have to do it because verbal harassment or offensive or insulting the speakers, or as I explained like 10 times maybe from the beginning of the room, there is a reason we run this room in English, and people like Anamika, people like anyone who's not really a Persian speaker is more than welcome, and we're kind of practicing this sort of rooms. I'm not going to speak anymore until my turn, so I'm going to pass the mic to Mohammed Hossein, and then after Jamshid. Well, first Mohammed Jamshid, if you can wait a bit, when Mohammed Hossein finishes,
No problem. No
yeah,
problem.
well, we'll get back to Banu because the women's are in the top list of our priorities, and then we'll get back to you, and then we'll hear Siamk John, and then we're gonna, like, the moderators will talk for another round, and then we will close this room. Thanks for being here with us. This is about showing our solidarity and sympathy with the Iranian women, with the Iranian youth, with this young generation, as they call them, uh, Z generation or whatever they are. They made us proud. They made us feel proud again. And thanks for everyone who participated in this room. Uh, Mohammed Hussein John, the stage is yours.
Thank you and good evening, everybody, and thank you for having me on your stage. Yeah, it is obvious that it is the biggest uprising inside and outside Iran. Yeah, in the Iran, this those demonstrations and protests, run by young adults. Some of them are very young adults, and some of them are teenagers. That it was surprising, and in terms of mass media coverage, in terms of Twitter, social media, all of them covered these kind of actions, demonstration, protests. But it's better to come back to reality. That means that in terms of Western countries and Western politicians, still they haven't made a big bill for the regime to pay, and somehow we hear some news about the exchange of prisoners with Biden administration, that it's not good for this protests and these demonstration. I'm gonna clarify my points. My first point is, the Reformist Party in Iran, still hallucinating with this idea that this regime is negotiable, and they're gonna negotiate with this regime. They used to be in power, but nowadays they are not in the power, but some of their children and their belongings are in the companies, and they're gonna hijack these kind of demonstration in Iran. Let's not let them to reach to this target. My second point is, during Obama administration, Mr. Zarif, which is belongs to conservative party, he opened the negotiation door with the U.S., which was good. But I'm just wondering nowadays, these politicians, mostly in the U.S., are they observing the situation through these door, or they look at the media? I don't have any idea about it, but these kind of actions that you made is admirable, and it's gonna help the people, and we're gonna enforce them to do some kind of actions. They have to make a very big deal for this regime. Thank you. I'm done my speaking.
Thanks for wrapping up too soon, Mohammad Hussein John, and thanks for waiting in the queue for a long time. I do apologize from all speakers who had to wait a little bit in the line because of the importance of the speakers. Well, and I really appreciate the ones who finish it soon. So we're going to listen to Jamshid, Siamk, Banujan, if you don't mind, if you have time, and then we'll get back to you, to Roxanne, to Majid and Simcoe, and then after that we'll kind of do a recap, and we'll close the room. And thanks for all the participants who preferred to be here rather than the other rooms. I know that, well, we run this room in English because of the certain reasons. I'm not going to repeat them again, but I'm going to thank each and every one of you for participation in this room, and you honored us with your presence. Thank you so much. Jamshid Jan, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much for giving me this time to speak with friends in the stage. Since this topic in this room is for non-Iranians, I just want to point out a couple of very basic ideas that I'm sure most of my countrymen know. The constitution of the Islamic Republic has been set up in a way that the power is all in hand of one person who is the leader. Just like during the Middle Ages, that Pope was the leader of theology of Christianity in the Dark Ages. And in the near era, we had Hitler, who was Führer, or Mussolini, El Duce. We have a lot, or Ceausescu. We have a lot of examples of that. So in a regime that its constitution is set up in a way that there is no way to basically change the format of the Constitution unless the viewer agrees with it. It is impossible to have any meaningful reform. The reform that Iranian people want, it's not is the removing of compulsory hijab or not. The reform is we don't want this theological oppressive regime. So nobody with a sound mind would think that the leader of the regime and regime leaders are going to approve such a referendum happens under the auspices of international organizations. So people who are bringing this up, it's bringing a fallacy, which is very common. You know, it's an old saying that truth fights with evil all the time. But what corrupts the truth is fear. And this regime has followed this plan since its inception and has put fear in the heart of Iranians for the last 4 decades to this day with arrest, killings, terrorists, all those things. So if anybody believes that this regime is going to be flexible and would do something in the line of what people want, they're sadly mistaken. That's never going to happen. So it's not that I am I'm extremely optimistic about the future of this country. You know, people like me who have lived out of the country for probably more than 3 decades, I don't have that much of a generational gap with my kids because I was living during the time of advent and revolution of, you know, digital revolution. So I grew up with them. But in Iran, the people who are running that country, they are completely in 1,000 years ago. And they have no understanding of people who were born in 70s, 80s, and 90s. Their parents of these kids, they were born in 60s and maybe 70s. And those were the days of dark oppression and terror that to this day, those parents are afraid to go out. But eventually they will. And this fear is going to break. And the government, no government, I don't care how strong it is, they can't be stronger than Soviet Union. They can't withstand the will of people. Thank you very much.
Thanks to you, Jamshid John. As our last first turn speakers, I would ask Siamk to speak. Just before that, because I've seen that a couple of our old friends joined the room and then said, well, Tehran is running this English room for 2 weeks. I really appreciate what Tehran is doing. He's a celebrity. He's a very famous stand-up comedian. He will have his parts. We'll have ours. So we're not detaining anyone in here. We have not chained anyone in here. So I would say if anyone feels that this room is not beneficial or useful for him or her, you guys are free to leave. Like we're not putting you in, we're not keeping you in here by force. And posting these sort of advertisement that Majid and I, we are trying to show off, this is ridiculous. This is not fair. Because like the people who know me here in this platform, they know that I'm an environmental activist. My field of expertise is in hydraulic structures and dams and civil engineering. So if I stay awake until 10 p.m. now and I need to get back to work tomorrow at 5 a.m. Same thing with Banujan, with Roxanne, with Femco, with Majid. We are all in North America. This room wasn't about show off. This room was about to share our thoughts and ideas and points of view in another language. The people who are celebrities in this platform, they claim to be the professors and doctors and journalists and whoever they call themselves. They were not brave enough, uh, but they never show up in our stage. Roxanne John, I know you're about to leave. If you have any last word, it's the time for you, and you honored us. پارو چشممون گذاشتی رکسان جان. The stage is yours for the last speech, if you don't mind, Siamak. Go ahead, Roxanne.
Oh, Roozbeh John, I was just texting you. Unfortunately, I have to run and go, but I wanted to thank you. Unlike many who don't believe this is a revolution, I believe this is a start of a beautiful revolution. Like most of you, I'm very hopeful, and I know that Iran's going to be free very soon, and it's going to have a very bright future with this generation. And I wanted to thank you for inviting me, and hope
Roxanne
to
John, many
tuna.
I had a couple of them message on back channel. So they asked Roxanne 2 weeks ago, said Khamenei actually died. What and then what is
Well,
your
I mean, I still don't believe that. I don't know if he's dead or not. With the double that he has, I still don't know if this is really him or the
they
double
were
or
asking
whatever. It doesn't really matter. To me, Khamenei is dead. His regime is dead. Khamenei, I mean, being dead or, I mean, I hope that he's dead because he's destroyed my country, our country. He's destroyed it in every way. Okay, Rasuli. And I mean, so the revolution in 1979 that destroyed the lives of my generation and 2 and 3 future generations was at the hands of Khamenei, and all of this clan who has done nothing but totally destroy our country from everything, from its environment to our human rights, to every basic right that we have, to the right of happiness. We can't even be proud to say we're Iranians because people look at us as terrorists and they fear us when we used to be proud. We used to be proud to be an Iranian. We didn't need a visa to go anywhere. We
so
were proud
I
Iranians.
know
We were happy
there
Iranians.
is another
So for
question.
me, his being alive or dead doesn't really matter.
Okay,
As far as I'm concerned, he's dead.
All
okay.
right, thank you.
No, I want to ask from Roxanne. So there is actually some questions people asking me to ask you. So to be honest, Roxanne, are you believe that we have to weaponize the protester on the street in Iran? Because someone said
I believe,
Roxanne
no,
supported
I believe,
weaponize it.
no, Defy Mashru is not weaponizing. I believe if somebody is there with a gun, pointing a gun at you, you have a right to defend yourself. Whether it be with a gun, whether it be with a cocktail Molotov, whether it be
Yeah,
with
no,
a
that's
piece of
pretty. Yeah,
baseball,
yeah. We
it's
talked about the rightful
self
defense.
defense. You
Yeah,
know, it's
yeah. No,
so that's what I said. I'm not promoting violence in any way. I'm not a violent person. But the fact that these people can kill us and we can't stand quiet. I'm not going to stand quiet anymore, and I don't think anybody else should. I believe in civil disobedience, but unfortunately, civil disobedience hasn't gotten us anywhere with this regime. If they're not going to be civilized, we can defend ourselves. That's what I've said.
Did you say at Fakhrover rooms that hold on 1 second. I opened this.
I'm sorry, this is not a room for getting a person
No.
under
Someone said me.
interrogation.
Roxanne
I
said
mean,
I
this is a
know.
no, just
room
No,
ignore
I
the.
for
want to
No,
I
ask you
don't
something.
mind.
non-Iranians.
I'm not ashamed of what I've
You
said.
said, did you said in Fakhrover rooms? So you said, I believe that we have to give the gun to protesters. Which
I said, if
what
we
did you
need
say?
to have guns, we need to have guns. We have guns in the United States to defend ourselves.
I know,
If our
but our
children need,
constitution
yes, if
doesn't
our
let
children,
people
Our
holding the weapon.
constitution is not our constitution is not
So
your
I
constitution is
I
not
know
your
I kn-
constitution is not my constitution. آقای مجید
I
رسولی.
know, but
My
you have I know
constitution
what, but you
says
have
if
to
somebody
change.
points a gun
You
at me,
have
I
to
have the
change the
right to defend
regime.
myself.
You have to change the regime. Then you bring
Excuse
your
me, آقای
no.
رسولی. آقای رسولی, when you guys were having a revolution in 79, did you guys not have guns? Did you not
I know.
guys not set fire to Cinema Rex and kill women and children and lock the doors so they couldn't get out? Did you not have a bloodbath in Meidun Jaleh? Come on, give me a
Yeah,
break.
yeah. Well,
We have
John.
every right to defend
Yeah, Roxanne,
ourselves.
John. Just let's put an end to this discussion. This is a different
Thank you
item
so
that
much.
we will.
Unfortunately, I have to go.
Yeah,
I
you've
really
honored us.
appreciate it.
Thank you so
Thank,
much, Roxanne John.
thank you
Thanks
Thank
for
for
you
being
very
with
putting
much,
this
us.
side.
Roxanne. Thank you very, very much.
Thank, thank.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Roxanjan. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah. But she was about to leave Majid, so I wouldn't ask her question just before she left. But thank you, Banu John. I know that it's late
Yeah,
in Toronto, so go ahead. The mic is
no,
yours,
I
and then
know.
we'll
Thank
listen to
you.
Siamak, and then we'll wrap up the room and close it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Siamk John. Thank you. I want to say great hello to those who's present in that room, and thank you for holding this room today, Majid John. We are not talking about tragedy anymore. Tragedy is very small word for these events that happen in the 20 days in Iran. Today, my land, Iran, it's more ringing, and in the climate that after the 43 years, the people of the Iran, all over the world, we are demanding change. We are sad, and we are change for notice the asking for the rights of the normal life in Iran. It's too sad. I'm not talking about the protest in Iran, Roozbeh, because I'm living in Canada. But I want to be a voice of the people of the Iran, be a voice for the all people they lives around the world. 43 years of the pain, oppression has reached the points where it's not unforgivable. It's not forgivable, but it's no longer possible to continue and tolerate that situation for the people of the Iran, for the women of the Iran. That's 20 days, just 20 days alone. We lost around 100 people. 100 people. It's a 22-year young girl. It's killed by morality police for just she's scarf. Just it's too sad, and this is the most bitter tragedy of the human rights. It's not about the just one person. It's not about the tragedy. A young girl was killed by the regime. Is not by the Jumhuri Islami. It's by the regime because of her wife and the girls who demand the freedom and the right to life. Just the life. It's a normal life. Let us be their voice. Let us be the voice of the Iran. If we are not the voice of Iran, we are still withstanding it again and again and again. It's like as the Ukrainian plane, it's like as the Oban for 3 years ago, and again and again. Long life freedom for the Iran. It just happened this time with the stand by the people of the Iran to be their voice, and anything we can do that is like as the Instagram put the post of the YouTube or anything. I saw the live on the air here. I know that this room posted on the YouTube. So I hope that lots of people, I hope the people in the world, they listen to us, they be our voice and our voice of the Iran. And it's lots of tragedy. It's it's a repeating again. The killing of the human is a being of the commandant. The humans have right to live freely. Let's believe the women are part of society. The woman is a half of society. It's not just for the election. It's for everything in society. Let's recognize the women and their choices to the fair life, free life, and freedom of the Iran. Child marriage, killing of the woman and girl for the stupid reason. It's happened in Iran. And I hope this time it's done and they get the freedom of this regime. Thank you, Roozbeh. Thank you, Majid.
I want to make a quick comment on Miss Banu. Don't
You
forget that
can just
in
keep it short, Jamshid John. That would be
one
great.
day,
Thank
just
you.
in Zahedan, they killed almost 100 people, and 180 people are in a critical situation. So the hundreds that you are talking about is all over
It just,
Iran, but it's
I
not
told, it's just
including
about the
Zahedan.
20 days. It's not just about 3 years ago. I mentioned the Aban, I mentioned the Ukrainian plane, I mentioned everything. If you, I know it's a, I told it's a 43 years. It's a human right. We don't have any human right in my country, unfortunately.
Okay, thanks, Vanujan. As our last speaker, it's going to be Siamak. Siamak, thanks for waiting too long in the line. It's kind of weird. Just before you go ahead, I'm not going to talk myself after you guys are over. But what comes out of sarcasm? What comes out of accusing us, Majid, me, Samko, and Banu, to be show off? Why should we do that? Why should we put ourselves in a position that everybody can criticize us? Uh, it doesn't matter if people like me are present in the clubhouse or not. I'm just a nobody. Despite my dear friend who's just joined us, Mohammad Jurjandi. He's a practical activist. He's a fine engineer. He's an expert in computer, internet security, and all that stuff. But when this room is over, let's think a little bit instead of spreading negativity and sarcasm and verbal harassment and offensing and insulting each other. Let's think why Islamic Republic is still ruling us after 43 years. Iran is the only country in the world who has this compulsory hijab. Iran is the only country in the world that when you see the past, you see the future. What happened to us? We better think a little bit, and maybe some results are just coming out of this results. Mohammad Jorjandi, welcome to the stage. You honored us. If you don't mind, we just listen to Siamak, and then the stage is all yours, Mohammad. Siamak, go ahead.
First, let me say hi to everyone, especially Behruz and Majid and all the friends in the audience. Behruz, please forgive me if my English is not as fluent as yours. But the thing is, I was thinking about your title that says Iran's post-uprising consequences for the Islamic Republic. I was thinking, what is the consequences for people if the revolution ends and regime is still in power? That is the problem. That is going to be a problem. You know, bloodshed in whole country. This is something really. Sometimes I think about it, and I feel so helpless that I cannot do anything about it. Today I was talking with somebody from Amnesty International in Vancouver, and I said, they wanted to talk to me, and I said, why do you want to talk to me? But do you guys go read the news about Iranian women and Iranian young people on the street? They are getting killed, and do you guys do anything for them? And they referred me to the website, and they said, that on website we talk about it, and we are supporting the Iranian woman. Anyway, I think that right now that uprising or the beginning of the big revolution in Iran is too late. It's too late to stop. We cannot really afford the cost of stopping. We have to finish the job. We cannot finish it. We cannot finish it and go back home undone. We are in the middle of it, and the regime cannot really do anything about it. The whole Sepah and Basij and the Labas Shakhsi or whatever they have, they are all tired and exhausted. And I saw a few videos from the Artish that those people are just saying that we love people, we don't want to really hurt anybody on a street, and we want to join you guys, but it has to get to the point that Artesh make a decision. So I believe we are doing so far okay, and I hope young people
they're not going to stop. I know they're not going to stop. We got to the point that it's like I said it to the other room that, it's like a jumping from airplane for parachuting. And if you are scared, you cannot go back to the airplane anymore. You have to enjoy the view, and you have to finish the job that you have been doing it. So hopefully it happens soon, and regime get to the point that it doesn't worth it to fight more with people. They're not gonna stay. Now we know why Shah left, because Shah didn't want to kill anybody. But these people are killers. They are serial killers. As Banu said, right now 120 people in 20 days. It means about 6 people every day are getting killed by these people. And you know what? These people are so bad. When they want to kill somebody, they torture, they punch, they just torture people. And I don't know what's going on behind the walls, but I hope they, if they want to kill, they kill the guy with one shot and finish it. But they torture, they break the legs, they broke the face, they broke the skull, everything. Anyway, I don't want to take more time, because really I get upset when I think about people who are in a room with these killers, serial killers. 5 or 6 of them attack one small girl. And so I just want to say thank you to you give me a chance to say my opinion, and I wish you guys all luck, and hope for the best for the country, for people, for girls, for women, that they are suffering in Iran. I hope one day I see people that are laughing, smiling, dancing on the street, and celebrating the end of the brutal regime of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Thank you.
Thanks to you, Siamk John.
Sorry, Roozbeh, I want just put the for one comment for the Siamk talk about they stay. For them, maintaining the regime is more important than people. They want to stay. It doesn't matter how long they stay in Iran. It's the 43 years they kill the people and they leave. It's just like that. The regime lives with the kill the people. Thank you, Roozbeh.
Thanks to you, Banu John. Mohammed, you've been my hero in Clubhouse. You're my favorite person
Hello,
in
thank you.
Clubhouse. Yeah, just go ahead. Mike
I
is yours.
appreciate
Hi,
You
Roozbeh.
have
Muhammad Jan. Hi.
Thank you.
endless time to speak. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, as it's very clear my English is not
Well, just before you go
at
ahead,
my
Mohammed, someone
part,
just put a,
but
someone
yeah,
just put a,
for
someone.
this
No, no, let me
room, I'm
tell you.
here to talk. Oh,
Yeah,
thank you.
just listen. Someone just put a comment that Mohammed Jurjandi doesn't know English. That's why he hasn't have a job. So go ahead.
Yeah, I steal money from their people. I don't need to have a job here. You know? Okay, I'm here for support your room. Thank you very much. And for sure, it's my not first language. And I just want to mention, I'm here to talk about some fallacy that propaganda regime use this day. Like whataboutism. It is very clear that they when we say that's problem have and we have this problem, they compare those problems with the same problem the American people have. They said, "What about the America? The America has the same problem." It is fallacy, and propaganda regime use it like Hitler or other dictator regime. Another fallacy is they claim the country. Is it things that I wanted to say? They claim that the country will be breaking up after Iranian regime, this regime. You know, it is not true because when you see our situation right now, we already break up. We already have break it up. They already break it up. Because they make a border between us. Somebody tell me what's the revolutionary people? The Englabis terror, revolutionary people. What is this? What the Basiji people means? Why? Why a group of people are Basiji, why the group of people are revolutionary, Enqelabi, and what's the difference between them and us? What's the main difference between them and us? Their education, their language, their, I don't know, money, their skin color or something. They already break it up. And it is very, clear fallacy they use this day. I want to say that please read history. That's our country. This country is not Iran because of this regime. They will be Iran after this regime too. Thank you.
Thanks, Mohammed John. You're a great guy. I'm not sure. Like anytime I see Mohammed Jurjandi, I cannot stop myself to praise him, to kind of give him compliments. It's not compliment, it's truth. Muhammad has been working through the ages for good. Uh, I would say what Muhammad did during these months or years, it's equal to a big organization in Iran cannot fulfill. Thanks, Muhammad John. Thanks for supporting us. Uh,
Roosevelt, for 6 years, I waste my time to talking about corruption, to talking about some criminal, criminal guys, the gambling, illegal gambling, Ponzi schemes, and a lot of cyber crimes, and nobody care. Nobody, 0%. And it means I'm talking in, I don't know, in another language or something, I don't know. But you see what's happened right now? They arrest a lot of people for nothing. That means they don't care about the research, they don't care about the crime. They let people to do stealing money from each other. They don't care about corruption. They don't think about us, but they think about themselves. They protect themselves. They put police to protect themselves. They not use police for protecting people against this corruption. They let you people, guys, to doing anything you want and stealing money from you each other, and they don't care. Thank you.
Thanks to you, Mama John. Someone just said with Roozbeh's management, it's a bit hard to be here. But as I said, this is not a room for making jokes or harassing our speakers. If someone has an accent, actually, that's a good thing. It shows that this guy has at least knows two languages. We've gathered here together to show our sympathy, our solidarity with the Iranian protesters. That was the reason we run this room in English. Uh, all these doctors and journalists and experts in Clubhouse, they didn't dare to come to our stage. So anyone who's in the stage, including Mohammad Jorjandi, who's a dear friend of mine, is welcome. Is more than welcome. I believe you showed how courageous and brave you are. Understand that some people may have been kind of shy, but look at us. We're not perfect, but we're here talking. And I'm going to welcome Mr. Nikan Kosar. I know it's a bit late for him to come over, but Nikan, you're more than welcome. We just had I would say 2.5 hours, right? 2.5 hours, almost 3 hours of room talking about Iran's rebellion or uprising. And there you go.
yeah.
Here's my master, Nikan Kosar. The stage is yours.
Oh, thanks, Roozbeh. Sorry it's a little bit late here. Just wanted to say hi and Godspeed. What can I say? You've done all the hard work.
Thanks to you. For the people,
Roozbeh, may I make a comment?
sure, absolutely.
I just want to point this out. The audience of this room are not Iranians. There are non-Iranians that they speak or understand English. So people who are making jokes or fun of the accent or all this stupidity, most of them are the cyber mercenaries of the regime. The fact is, this room audience are not Iranians. The parts of this room is going to be spread out all over the digital world. So don't pay attention to these people. That's their job. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We're stronger
don't
than this,
don't
actually.
care, but why it's important for you guys to for your those
No,
comments,
it's not
because
because
they
we've been
they
playing
they put
this.
comment in Farsi and nobody can know what they say. Don't care.
Yeah, that's great. Actually, working with Nikohang made me a real Puskoloft, you know. Like my skin is like a rhinoceros now after working with Nikohang. After receiving too many, like it's kind of interesting. I'm going to tell you this because it's kind of relevant to what we are doing. The people who call themselves experts in anything, including environmental stuff, they started blackmailing me. They started sending my friends messages that Roozbeh's education was this and that. It doesn't matter. As I said from the very beginning, I'm a nobody, okay? But I'm one in of 80 million people. I'm an Iranian. I'm a proud Iranian, although I'm Canadian now. But the people who stole our homeland from us, they will give it back. No matter the cause, they will give it back. And as I said, I show zero tolerance for anyone who insulted our speakers, who offended our speakers. This is not a joke. A tragedy is happening right now in Iran. And yeah, so be mindful, be respectful. Nikan John, go ahead. Roozbeh, they won't give us back. We have to take it back. That's the difference. And we will. And we have to kick some ass. That's it. Yeah, we need to hunt down someone and kick his ass. Absolutely. Okay,
So,
great.
yeah, Ruzbajan, just I wanted say something about this uprising. So, as I told at the beginning of this room, this movement is very strong movement for the generation because this is completely peaceful movement, and as I mentioned, this movement is leaderless, and they are asking for freedom and life. And I think we should be very, very careful with making any assumption and judgments at this point, because it's very important. We don't think, okay, this is this movement, because I can see in opposition many groups, they are telling like Saltanat Talabs or other, they are telling they are going to rob this movement. So that is why we have to be careful, and then we don't make any assumptions or judgment at this point. This is very important. I wanted mention. And other things that I think is really important is that we see a new generation of Iranians between like when you look at their age on the like Twitters or video clips, YouTube, everywhere. So we can see uh, this generation is between like 17 and 90 years old in the street, and they have a very obvious values, and they actually their norms are totally or entirely different than even from our generation. So it is important. We have to recognize this generation values and educate about this generation thoughts and views. This is very important point, which I wanted to ask from Shayan, but unfortunately he left the room at the time. I didn't have a chance to ask him these questions. And then in other hand, as you can see in Iran, because Shayan mentioned Iranian regime is weak, weaker than ever, but he didn't, mention if they are weak right now, why they are actually they had mass arrests in the past few days of journalists and political activists and some of the people who they thought could be potentially be the leaders, like for example, like Nasrin Sotoudeh and Narges Mohammadi and others. They did that. This is very important. If the regime is weak, why they try to actually detain these leaders and these activities, especially journalists, you know. But when screen all the actually protesters on the street, the important point is that the Iranian regime actually couldn't able, shut down the protests. This is very important. Despite of the regime trying to killing the people on the street and then hammered the protests, but we see on the street again many people right now, even on the schools girl coming on the street and chanting against the regime.
Majid John, can we just let the two more speakers to speak and then we'll have our
Yes, I'm gonna be wrap it up. So that no, I want to say that is very important. We have to be very careful at this point. Like I wanna, after this room, maybe I have created a room about the referendum which the Iranian clubs they hold it this morning. So it was a really danger because they want to say only way is the referendum. They are going to be actually change the this generation request to the only for referendum, which is the false information and direction for the people. Then we have to be aware about that. Thank you so much, Roozbeh. And then
thanks to you. I would say
I
our
want
last.
to say hi to Nika Hang and then Farshad and anyone at the room.
Yeah. So as our last speaker, I'm going to just give the stage to Farshad. I know that Farshad has been continuously broadcasting some voices from LA. Am I right, Farshad? Yeah. So Farshad's going to be our last speaker, if you don't mind. If like, I believe I said what I had to say, and that would be our he will be our last speaker, Farshad, and then we're just.
Sorry, may I jump in, please?
Didn't you talk, Rex?
Yeah, because I'm leaving, I just want to just
It's a
thank.
short comment. Go on, and then after Farshad is going to speak, and
Oh,
then I'll play a song and close the room.
no problem.
Yeah. Okay, Farshad John, the stage is yours.
No problem. Sure. If Mr. Rex wants to go first, that's totally fine.
Yeah, go ahead, Rex. Just make it short, please. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you very, very much for allowing me to speak. I would just want to thank Majid, Simco, Roozbeh. Roozbeh, your management was very, very good. I really respect it. And just want to know. I just want to tell the other people who like us that we just we live abroad. Make as much as possible. Just let the other people, I mean the other non-Iranian people, know that what happened in Iran, and with such a brutal regime we are faced.
That's very, very important. Thank you very, very much. And I really appreciate Majid. I didn't know that Majid has 3 languages knows. Thank you very much, Majid. Take care and have a good one. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Rex.
Oh, Majid is, he used to be a pre-Akhund, so Akhund is Akhund. It
Yeah, yeah,
doesn't
that's
matter.
it.
When he starts speaking, you can just beat him up to stop. I'm
Yes,
just joking. Majid is a very dear friend of mine. So,
me.
Farsha John, you will be the last speaker, and then I'm just going to play a song, and then we're going to close the room if you don't mind. Farsha John, the mic is yours. The stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate the time that you're giving me. Thank you, Mr. Roozbeh and Mr. Majid. Um, I'm speaking as an Iranian Jew, as someone who is born in Iran.
Oh,
Uh,
shalom. I didn't know that. Shalom.
yes. Um, so I am Persian, I am Farsi, I'm an Iranian, and I'm also Jewish. As a Jew, my heart, my soul, my being hurts, and every beat of my heart is for my country, Iran. This is a place that has, for years and years, giving us a place to live, giving us a roof, giving us bread. We are very passionate for Iran. I have family members in Iran. I believe it's a beautiful place, it's a beautiful country. And to see such calamity for our people, to see such devastation for our generation, it is a very sad day. I want to send a message to everyone that regardless of the religion that we have, we are all Persians and this is our homeland. It is a time to unite. It is a time to come together. It is a time to stand up for justice, for humankind. It's time for us to see human beings as one another and be able to stand side by side and stand up for against anyone that is destroying another human being's life. We just finished Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is the holiest day for the Jewish religion. I can tell you proudly, in every synagogue, when we prayed for peace in Iran. This is our dream. Our dream is to have peace in Iran. Our dream is to have a country where you are free to speak to about freedom of speech. You have the ability to be who you are, exercise any religion that you want, and have no oppression in any way, shape, or form. I live in Los Angeles. I've worked in a Persian radio station for 22 years. Supposedly, we're supposed to be non-political. We're not supposed to say anything against any regime. But when it comes to something like this, if you are Persian, if you bleed, if you have blood in your veins, if you have a heart and you have a soul, you cannot be non-political. You have to stand up for injustice. And thankfully, the management of our radio station has seen that, and we are standing side by the Iranian community. It's not much we can do. We live in a country where you have the freedom, you have the ability to do whatever you want, say whatever you want. Sure, it's easy to say it's not my problem. But you know what? It is our problem. It's our brothers and sisters that are being killed innocently, and our heart aches. So, my message to everyone in this room is speak about the freedom in any language that you can. Do whatever it takes to be the voice of the silenced and the oppressed. And I pray to God that very soon we will be having an amazing freedom rally in Iran, in Maidun Azadi, or in the olden days it used to be called Maidun Shahyad.
I pray that not a single soul gets any treatment like the way these innocent lives have been treated this way. And, they say, I have a dream. I also have a dream. And hopefully, we will be able to get rid of this regime in a very good way. I hate to see another soul die. Every morning that I turn on my phone, I go on Instagram or I go on Telegram or social medias, I see another death. I see another young soul. For what? For what? 43 years of oppression, 43 years of promises, 43 years of going and doing anything that they want to do in the name of religion. I believe Islam is the religion of peace. I believe Islam is a good religion. Unfortunately, it's been crushed, it's been dragged through the mud, through the hands of people who are taking advantage of it. Otherwise, I don't see any difference between me and my neighbor. Thank you so much for the time you're giving me. I try to speak very slowly, even though I'm a little bit nervous, so that everybody could understand. I'm grateful for the opportunity, Mr. Majid. I come in your rooms almost every chance that I get. I listen to you, your analysis. I am a very big fan of yours. I hope that you continue your ways. I've seen you're a man of honor. I commend you as a brother. I respect you, and I'm very grateful for all the work that you've done. Thank you, Mr. Roozbeh. Thank you, Mr. Majid. Thank you, Miss Banu, for inviting me on stage, and God bless every single one of you guys.
Thank you, Farshad Jan. It was a great honor for me, you being my stage. Thank you so much.
Yep, and I followed you, Farshad. If you can follow back, then we can see each other a
With
while.
pleasure. With
Yeah.
pleasure.
Let's pray for peace everywhere, including Middle East, including Israel and Palestine, Palestinians, the Jewish people in Israel. They are brothers too, so let's pray for them as well. Let's pray for people from North America to Africa to Asia, everywhere. The freedom of expression is for everyone, and the peace is necessary. The peace as an environmental justice is a human basic rights. Thanks everyone for being in our room. Majid John, if you don't mind, I'm just gonna play a song and then close the room, end the room. Do you agree? Everyone
Yeah,
agree?
yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah. This song is called Enemy. Uh, we're not their enemies, but they consider us as their enemies. This is a very good song. It belongs to a very famous TV series in Netflix. I'm just gonna play this one, and when this one is over, I'm just gonna end the room. Thanks for all the participants. Thanks for all the speakers. I especially thank all the audiences who've been patient, who've been with us within 3 hours of this difficult room. It's not easy to have a room in other language rather than your mother tongue. And we tried our best. We had our weaknesses. Probably some people were somehow bothered with the kind of weird accent. But as I said, having an accent is not a shame. Actually, you need to be proud of having an accent. It shows that you are capable to speak in another language, and forgive my manner if I talked about the zero tolerance, but bullying, harassment, offensing, insulting other people will not make us through our common enemy, which is the Islamic regime, who imposed this situation to each and every one of us. I'm just going to play this song and then end the room. Thanks everyone. We'll all listen together to this song. That's my favorite.